keep living the adventure. Axis of Awesome.
Incoming transmission.
What is up, adventurers? Welcome to another Who's in the Shop. I absolutely hate technology. I did that intro, and this is what I hate about iMovie. Every time I change text on stuff, every once in a while it doesn't change for some fucking reason. So I apologize. It was supposed to be Hexastack, not Maxog Adventures International, but that doesn't matter. We know who we've got on tonight. If you've seen the promos, it's going to be a great guest. But before we get to our guest, let's go through, as we always do, some housekeeping. I hope everybody's doing great out there. Remember, PSYOP seasons take no days off. So stop watching the news. Skunkworks Custom Shop, guys, doing really well. I really appreciate everybody who's bought stuff. It should be getting everybody. If you haven't already gotten it by now, you should be getting it in the next couple days. When you get your stuff, make sure and send me some pics. I've made a Facebook album for everybody to send me pics so I can showcase all the stuff you've bought and then I've made so we can check it all out. There's still a lot of stuff on there. I have some questions from people. They've got on there and not found things. You got to check all. You got to go ahead and hit all comments, not relevant ones, and it'll give you all the stuff listed there. I only do PayPal and Venmo right now. I know I had a guy ask me about some other stuff. That's just the easiest for me. I don't want to have to go in and change a bunch of stuff. So we might be able to work something else out. But anyways, get on there and check out the Skunkworks Custom Shop. We're sewing some more stuff right now, and it's going to be a really fun time. So if you want some cool custom gear, check it out. I know a lot of you guys have seen this, the Agents of Omega set from Big Bad Workshop. Everybody's posted about it. This is a great set. I got a cool review up. There's a lot of other good reviews out right now, and there's a lot of people on Instagram posting a lot of good pics. I hope they do more. I think it's been a very successful set, and I am excited. Thanks to Rick Bradshaw and Ed from Action Figures, I went ahead and ordered the General Brown figure so I could get that head sculpt for the Adventurer, and I'm probably going to actually mold and cast some of those and flock them. So be on the lookout for that moving forward. I have a really cool item here. So a while back, I reached out to my bro on Instagram. His name's the Hoya Fab Crawlers. See if I got his... should have his... Well, I thought I had his... I don't know. I don't have his Instagram up right now. But anyways, he made me this Rock-On Trailbreaker bike. It scales great with my 1/12. I bought the 3D files off of him. I'm making a 1/6 scale one right now for my adventure team. So be on the lookout for that too. It's pretty cool. But the coolest thing about this cat is he is making or has finished up a 1/6 scale mega survival rig. Check this out. He 3D printed and made all this. It's RC. It's one of the dopest things I've ever seen. Get on his page at Hoya Fab Crawlers. Check it out. This is wild to watch him print this. It's absolutely amazing. I think he lives out in Bend, Oregon. A lot of cool people out in Oregon, living out in the backwoods. This is awesome. So definitely check him out. Let's see. I just got in a really cool thing from my bro, Sean Huckster. I got the top secret case. I can't wait to review this. It's coming. Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate it. Hope you got my t-shirt and shorts as well. So I'm excited to get with that. I was supposed to be Monday night on Same Time Toys to do a pretty dope live stream with him, but I wasn't able to because he had some technical difficulties, and he should get that sorted out. So we might reschedule for maybe this coming week. If you haven't found Same Time Toys, give him a follow. He has a really fun channel, and it's definitely worth checking out. After this live stream's over, jump on over to Punk with Toys' channel. Lawrence is a little salty all the time. He's a spicy guy, and he's really fun to watch on his channel too. He's got a really good Monday live stream. Starts at about 8, I think, Central. So check him out as well. And let's see, we got anything else going on? My bro Matt Pike, you guys have seen my photos behind me. He's still doing prints and selling stuff. If you're interested in getting some really cool one-of-a-kind artwork, he's a super dope dude. He's one of the best bands in the world, obviously, with High on Fire and Sleep. riffchild@gmail.com. So give him a shout out if you want to buy some cool artwork. I always try to tell him I'm going to help him sell stuff. So, and other than that, one other thing, I have been following a really cool channel on YouTube, and it's a lot of interesting content, and that is Wild Hunt Conditioning. I do a lot of training and stuff, and I do a lot of different workouts. This has been a fascinating follow for me. He has a lot of really cool content, and which leads me tonight. I just started the Soviet kettlebell program that he had on there, and this is my boy, the greatest Russian heel wrestler of all time, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff, the best to do it as far as the Russian heels in the 1980s. And that leads me to tonight's guest, who is a wrestling fanatic himself, and I think a wrestler as well, and one half of the Toyleet Network, one of the proprietors of the Hexastack, Mr. Travis Fitzgerald. What's up, brother?
What's up, dude? How's it going?
How's it going, man? It's good to have you on.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. I know we talked about this for a while, and I know we've had you over on our stream, so it's awesome to get a chance to come over here and hang out in the shop.
Absolutely. This is the first time I've done a one-on-one with you. Like I said, we've been on Ed's podcast, or not podcast, the live stream a few times, and then we've also done some other shows as well together. And you're always a really insightful and awesome dude to talk to. And I'm excited for tonight. But before we get going, man, for people who don't know who you are and what you're about, give us a little backstory on Travis.
Yeah, collector, 1/12 for the most part. Really been a big fan of toys my whole life. There was a period of time where I ditched them because I was into the girls, met my wife, settled down, had my son, and jumped right back into collecting toys because he gave me an excuse to collect. Fast forward to 2020 time frame, COVID and everything. Big collector, WWE wrestling focused. My boys were like Power Rangers and the Marvel Legends, and I started getting into the Joes because of the seeing the classified stuff on the shelf and having not had those since I was a young kid. Got back into those, kind of explored that space, and got a 3D printer at the time. It's the first time kind of just messing around with it so I could make some accessories and things. And then fast forward, my oldest son, kind of at a point where he wasn't really playing. He was much more in the display space and keeping things in bins. And because we started collecting so many different toys, I created the Hexastack or Hexastack, and it's my masterpiece of creative ingeniousness through some different iterations to get to where it is. And it's a patent. I'm a patent holder in the modular hexagon display stand with the removable peg system. So that's my thing. And now every other Sunday I hang out with Ed over on the Toyleet Network at Axion Figs, and we talk our plastic passion and a lot of big things coming from Hexastack. This year has been really, really big for me with it. Had it at a bunch of conventions through the partnership with Creative Realms, and I've been moving a lot of product over the course of the last 8 weeks or so. I'm really happy. I think customers are really getting excited now that they're finally getting them in their hands.
Nice, man. Well, let's start off talking about Hexastack. So what is Hexastack? First off, what made you decide to create such a cool item? And tell me about this journey. Like, do you have like an engineering background or anything, or it's just something that you just dreamed up one day and came up with and brought to fruition? Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna take you back to high school for a minute.
Cool.
I was into, there was basic electronics, and we had some college class, we had some high school, secondary kind of classes. I'd moved on from tech, just doing basic tech stuff with woodworking and things like that. And the high school I had gone to, I was fortunate they had a CAD program, AutoCAD. So 3D rendering, 3D models, a lot of real generic stuff that we were working on at the high school level. But I always enjoyed it. And then fast forward to probably close to 2003, 2004, wrestling, right? It's probably 2004, 2005. But wrestling's a big thing in my life. It always has been. It's really been the foundation of like a piece of me. If anyone that knows me has known me for anywhere of the 42 years I've been on this earth, for the last 37 of them, it's been wrestling focused in some capacity. There was an online game, not an online game. There was a visual basic game called TEW, Total Extreme Warfare. I started, I played the game. They did a fictional wrestling universe, but you could create your own characters. And some people were using these things like Poser was the original one I played with. It's a 3D modeling rendering system that, was hundreds of dollars when I was a kid, and required like a way bigger computer that I probably had, and was dragging. And then there was this thing called DAZ 3D, which was like a precursor to the Blender software that's out there today. And I would model 3D characters for the wrestling game, like to create my own characters for this world and whatnot. So I played in that space, and I did that. Actually had designed logos and characters, and I have my name actually credited on that game. It's a paid purchase game by a guy named Adam Ryland out in Europe somewhere. And it's a really cool game. Anybody who's a big wrestling fan would be able to find it and know what I'm talking about. They've done 10, 15 different versions of it. And, fast forward, to that time frame when I got the 3D printer, I had the experience, the CAD designs. I had the experience in the 3D modeling and rendering from like a character design standpoint, but I didn't really ever design anything on my own. And I started printing stuff, but it was all stuff that I was just getting, STL files from online for free, or paying a few dollars here and there for different things. And it was really, being used to, try to create some 1/12 vehicles is really where it started. I wanted to do that, and I wanted to create barricades and wrestling arena, artifacts that I could use. And then going to where, my oldest son was, he's like 22 now. But 4 years ago he was 18, graduated high school. He wasn't playing with toys. He still collected them, but from like the artistic and I think to be a completist with everything. And then my younger son, who's around 15 now, he would have been 11, still kind of playing. He still plays to some degree. And the idea was that trying to get them to display, we're cleaning up the rooms, got all this free time with COVID. I say free time, but like we're all stuck at home. And, I started kind of tinkering around with this idea. I expanded my toy line collections. Now I started collecting independent toys like Spiro, Animal Warriors, The Kingdom, the Valaverse action figure line, so different pegs, finding that they all had different pegs, and even the Marvel Legends, same production company, manufacturer would have different pegs and different feet, and running into issues where there wasn't a good way to display them. And I wanted something that kind of always, kind of call back to, a bleacher or a chorus stand that you would have where you could see all the kids' faces. They made us all stagger on the bleachers there to sing and do that stuff in orchestra and everything. So, I had this idea of something that would have a tiered diorama, back, feel, for your shelves and curate, right? Because there's some really cool stuff out there with the diorama space. And you can do all sorts of stuff. I see, so many people do that. But I wanted something more like, call it cheesy, but I wanted like the iPhone of displays, and I wanted the museum curation of displays, something cool and clean. my wife is very particular, and things are messy. So like the idea that I could have something that would fulfill a need where there wasn't these pegs, and that one peg for everything, whereas as few as you could to fit everything, but also like a modular system that went together pretty cleanly. And then kind of exploring, well, I have this space. Can I add storage? Can we do things beyond just displaying in this simple way? And it's really blown up into what it is, which is Hexastack. And right now we've got 3 different peg sizes. We've got the removable components, the storage, 3 different stands, and I've got flight stands coming. And I partnered recently with another creator to adapt and adopt some of their features from their system to kind of work within the Hexastack space so that you can display your figures even cooler. So very excited about the direction, and we got some other things that are going. I'm not going to announce, but there's some really freaking cool stuff that I've actually just today kind of worked through some kinks on, and I think folks that are looking for more than curation in a museum style will be extremely excited for, as Hexastack brand continues to expand.
Wow, dude, that's fucking dope, man.
Sorry, long-winded, very kind of 20 years of how I got here.
I love it. Well, let's before we continue with that, let's jump through the chat. We got a lot of people in here tonight, and I want to give them a shout out early on. One of the biggest challenges for me when I talk to people one-on-one is the chat. I try to get to the chat, but I don't always get to the chat.
Oh yeah.
I like to have people participate, but it's also difficult when I'm trying to listen to other people talk. But we'll jump in here tonight. We got Nolan, B8B. Thanks for stopping in, Nolan. It's always fun.
It's official.
Of course, you, Mr. Wonderful, is here tonight. My bro Adam from G.I. Joe The Lost Chronicles is here. Adam and I are working on a really crazy photo story right now for the holidays.
Oh, cool.
Mine might get me banned from YouTube, so we'll see what happens. I'm not changing it. So Ernie's Attic is here. Ernie, hopefully you get your package tomorrow, Ernie. Let's see. TD3 Trooper, what's up, dude? Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with this man. I love it when you guys take the time to hang out with this. It's always fun. It means a lot to me. Let's see. We've got Lone Wolf 62H7M. Thank you, sir. And of course, the great and powerful Ed Action Figures, your other half for your Sunday live streams. James Peverelli always shows up. James, thanks for stopping in. Canada's own Murray Corrigan, Captain Canuck, Bullet Man's #1 fan. Murray's probably dying to have a 1/12 classified Bullet Man at this point. I mean, he loves Bullet Man so much.
Nice.
And I'm sure we'll have some other people jump into the chat as we go. So back to Hexastack, dude.
Yeah.
So I watched you and Ed, I believe a couple weeks ago, when you had the gentleman on there, had a big burly beard like me. What was his name? Is that the big burly beard? You guys had a show.
Mega J.
Yeah. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's got a really popular one. So
yeah,
I watched you guys talk about all that, and I watched the Hexastack stuff. It was really fascinating. This is such a cool product. Like, did you start off just 3D printing those and like taking those to like cons, or just like trying to put them through like social media? Like, how did you jump out doing it? How did you get the word out on it?
Yeah, so that was a big thing, right? So back in 2023, the idea came to me, through the thoughts that I was having of how can I curate something for the boys, just as a personal thing. Kind of bounced the ideas around folks like Ed and Axion Figs, and then the Hella Dope Toys guys. They were having me on their show, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about launching this thing. Would you be okay with me launching this on your podcast? And they were like, absolutely, and I showed them some stuff, and there's some other folks that were very supportive that I was engaging with. Jeremy Jernigan, he over there, he actually works with like the 3POA on Wednesday nights with their show. He was around, and I was bouncing ideas off of him early on, and folks seemed to be interested. So there was enough of an interest that I was like, this isn't something just for me. This is something that I can bring to market. And I've always kind of had that, idea, always got something I'd like to try to bring forward. This is like one of the first times that I've been in a position, both with the equipment, to design and actually produce something that's manufactured, right? Like, and actually build something. So I just started 3D printing, and we did try a Kickstarter in 2023. My goal was to raise roughly $30,000 to be able to get that all created in an injection molded process. You know, I had a lot of different things. Those were like, I don't want to say they were version 1s, but they were close to that version 1. They were probably close to they were probably version 3 or 4 of where I was, you know, in the design phase. You know, we had magnets, we had some different things. They were a fraction of the size of what I produced today. And, you know, we were trying to bring that to market. And I'm so thankful that the Kickstarter failed, in the sense that it didn't fund, because it was such a success in my learning and my growth as a designer and a creator, and learning what goes into manufacturing, that, you know, I scaled back. I went to resin printing, ran into a lot of obstacles and stuff. You know, was supposed to go to Legions Con in 2023. And, you know, I was at PowerCon just before that, actually, where I got to meet Ed and a lot of folks in person, where Mega J, you know, took some of my stands and you know, created that video we had, you know, on the old video, where they were like these, what I would say is this horrible design, because it's come so far. And, you know, I just wasn't happy with the quality I was getting from the resin, you know, resin printed ones. And I was having some issues at that point. The quality was coming out okay, but I was having an issue with consistency on the magnetic pieces connecting properly. So then it was, okay, well, I can't present these and sell these to anybody, because I'm going to have to change something. And they're not going to, like, if I bring these and they're not clicking together the way I intended, and the way some of the early prototypes were working, I would be doing a consumer a disservice. And it's not, you know, I'm a consumer first. Everything I do is with the idea that I'm going to buy this, and how do I want this? Do I want this to slip? And, you know, I also, you know, faced some other, you know, obstacles during that time, because somebody, you know, came at me about my design and, you know, had questions around it. I was able to, you know, prove without a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't, you know, anything but my own creation. And, you know, I put a pause, I don't want to say pause, but I decided to pull back on delivering. And, you know, nobody was out a dollar. Nobody paid me anything. So I wasn't delaying anybody's delivery in 2023. And then, you know, I spent 2024 really kind of redesigning, trying to get the quality out of the resin. And I felt like I was doing good, and I was in a good place coming into 2025, and then faced some career changes in the early 2025 that really, you know, freed me up and also allowed me to focus. So I got to a point I was feeling good about, and then some things weren't, you know, the way the quality again had some struggles. And you know, from there I was like, look, I gotta rethink some of this. And, you know, so the last year I really, you know, zoned in, and, you know, with the support of folks like Terrence over at Creative Realms Studio, or Creative Realms, you know, and Ed, I kept moving and kept pushing, and Ted and Aaron over at Helidope, you know, kept pushing forward. And then another folk that I'll be, you know, talking about in future, you know, helped me out with some prototypes on an FDM printers. And out of the results of those, I went ahead and kind of redid my entire factory and shifted away from resin, and went to 7, now 10 FDM, you know, Anycubic, you know, multi-color print machines, and just ramped up production. And you know, I got, the first time I sold them in person myself was at ToyCon, New Jersey, about a little less than a month ago now, 3 weeks ago, I think, when I had the opportunity to get together with Terrence. And then now Terrence over at Creative Realms is going to have stuff at IshCon. I'm bringing them to some local toy conventions up here in upstate New York this weekend, actually. So really kind of pounding the ground now and getting them out so folks can see them, because I can talk about them and I can show them in videos and, you know, all sorts of images and stuff, and it gives an idea. But I think when you get in person and you see how much storage, you see how convenient, easy they are to use, and how it really does clean up your shelves, you know, that being in front of folks really convinces people, oh, this is something I need to get behind.
Do you got one with you right now?
I don't, but if you give me 2 seconds, I can go get them.
Oh, yeah, go grab one. Do you have pants on?
I don't, so that's why I. Yeah.
I do have pants on tonight. I'm wearing my sweatpants. So, in case you guys out there are wondering. So, the Hexastack is a really cool. So, I can't wait to see him showcase these. They're pretty cool. If you guys are 1/12 collectors, I think this is definitely something you might be interested in if you want to display your figures in a really cool and organized way. I find it a really cool and interesting design. So hopefully you don't hear. There he is. All right, what do you got here? Let's see one.
Okay, so we'll start with I have them in white right now. Like I have some black ones here, but I brought the white ones hoping that it would show up a little bit better in the lighting here. So I've got what I call the flex cap. This is the I call it the flex cap because it's both the cap for the other stands, but it's also flexible enough to be a stand on its own, right? So this is like your ground level. And the two key components here are you have these removable pieces here, which I'll show in a moment, and then you have the underside, which has this trim and this bevel here so that you can click into things. So
that's nice.
Is that awesome? Sorry, and it cut me off at any time.
No, you're fine. I'm gonna just show us. Yeah. And that's
so
magnetic. That's magnetic.
No, I've removed all magnets from the stands to keep the cost down for folks.
Okay.
In the event that there is interest, magnets could be added. Obviously, the ones without magnets wouldn't work, but I think I have an alternative solution that I may be presenting in the future to move away from the need for magnets and a different kind of connection piece that I've discussed in the past with others. I don't know if it would keep the cost down for folks, and it would give you almost the same experience. But you can see here, you have what I call the universal peg holders. They're all different sizes. And yes, we do have them in white now. There was a limited run. And I did have some folks that reached out recently about the white because nobody got the orders in time because I was hearing people were interested. And what I've decided to do is the white ones are available, but they have a little bit of a lead time. It's more of a pre-order approach, and it's basically, as needed as folks order them. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate it. So, it has that. And then I also have, these flat caps, as I call them. They're the blanks, they go right in. So somebody who might be like a pop fan, they may not need a lid. They may not need a cap in there. Like they may not need a foot peg. They might just want to display without it. So you get the flush level. Obviously, like if you buy white, you'll get white caps with it and stuff. But just so you can see. And then like you have, like I said, the universal. And I have the A size, the B size, and the C size. The C size is typically going to, let me pull the list up real quick. I want to make sure. I just listed the additional universal foot peg packs. But basically, like your Type A is going to fit like your Mythic Legions, your Animal Warriors Kingdom, Savage Crucible, NECA, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then you have your Type B, which are going to fit like SH Figure Arts, some of your female Marvel Legends, Mattel figures, some Bandai Dragon Ball Z. And then you have the G.I. Joe classified females. Then you have Type C, which is going to fit more of your traditional Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe, WWE, Mattel, Valaverse, Power Rangers, all of those more, mainstream character figures and stuff. And then there's also, just so I can show, there's the core stand, which is one thing here is it's got storage in it. And again, it's the stand that is the second type one, right? And we have bundles that these come in, and I will eventually start selling additional expansion packs. But the idea is that this goes right on. So you have your lid, which closes the storage up and gives you the stand to pose your figures on. You can also have your caps on the ground. So in the display model, you may have it like this with a lid. And then we also have the max stand, which is the largest of the three stands, which gives you almost 2 inches or so of space. And then you have all the storage inside for your accessories.
That's really cool. That's a really cool idea to give yourself the storage for your figures, because everything now comes with 5 hands.
Tons.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I got a question about the Mythic Legion portion.
Oh, yes, go for it.
Do you have to wait 24 months to get those?
No, those are base in there. Those are good to go.
Fuck those guys. Anyways, back to your stuff. Go ahead. If you can zoom in real quick. This is the first time I'm showing these on screen. So sure,
these are coming. I'm making some tweaks to it, but what we have here is you have this wooden based one, which will be coming in brown. So it's got like a wooden texture. I'm working
Oh,
to clean it up a
cool.
little bit. And
Yeah.
then I've got one here that's more of like a stone cracked,
Yeah.
cinder block
That looked
stone.
great with your fantasy figures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is plans to have some exclusive or limited runs or probably limited like on-off runs from time to time, and specifically for Joe Fest coming up, which will have some special colors that may align with the GI Joes a little bit, and also maybe some cool textured, more military style lids to go with those. So I'm working on the finalized designs on those, but those will be coming shortly and be available at Joe Fest with the Creative Realms booth.
I really think that's cool. I think I'm fascinated. Thanks for telling me the whole process. I'm fascinated with your whole process and how you work through it all, because it's really cool to see, somebody kind of develop a thought in their head and bring it to life, like pull it out of there. Like in Harry Potter, how Dumbledore would pull those out of his head. It's kind of like what you did there, and it's really fascinating to see that. And I love the journey that you had too, like trying to figure out. You were fighting like a several front war because you had a great idea. You're trying to bring it to life, and then as technology improves and you improve, you've kind of made your dream in a way come true. And those are super clean looking too. Like I can see why you switch printers. I like resin. I mean, my bro Sean Huckster, who is a brilliant 3D printer. I don't know if you're familiar with Huckster and Huckster Labs. Brilliant 3D printer. Like he's got a really good insight on when you should use resin versus when you should use filament and stuff. And it's cool to see your journey into that, because your current pieces to me, like just as a layman who I don't own any, right? I don't do a lot of 1/12 stuff. It's just a really cool, unique design. And I love cool aesthetics and people that make cool shit, because it's just, me personally, I'm a fan of people that are fans of making cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I love to see everybody make cool stuff. And that's really why I like the community, like that we're in. Like my Axis of Awesome, all the 1/6 scale GI Joe guys, we all make a lot of cool shit. And then I dabble, I'm invited into you guys' world every once in a while, and it's always interesting to see that. So when you go to buy like at Hexastack, one of the cons, like what is the package? Like what do you get with the purchase? Like what are they coming in?
To keep manufacturing, packing, and all that stuff kind of easy right now, I've tried to limit the SKUs. Like I said, I added 3 additional SKUs to the website yesterday that went live, which were the ability to purchase more foot pegs in varying sizes. Right now, and I may change this, but for now, everything is pre-packed with essentially 5 stands. It comes with 1 max stand, it comes with 2 core stands, and it comes with 2 flex caps. But also recognize that each one of the cores and the max stand also come with their own respective flex cap. So you get to have at least 5 full displays. But if you wanted, like, for whatever reason, you had a dwarf or something and you needed a core and a max stacked together, you only need 1 flex cap for that with you stacking them. So you'd have a 4th, or you'd have an additional flex cap that you could put on the ground, right? Because it could be reused as just a base level plate. So it comes with basically 5 stands right out of the bat, and it comes with a bundle of 5 type A pegs for them. Like I said, right now that's what it's coming with. I may shift the bundle to go to the type C if that tends to be like a more commonly purchased and used. I was focused on the independent creation and like where my stuff was, so I went ahead and did that. And damn it, Ed, you son of a gun. Let me open up my website. I got my website open. So do you mind if I share my screen here?
Just go ahead. I'll try to figure it out. I told you I'm a Neanderthal when it comes to live streams. I love when I watch you and Ed's on Sundays when I'm laying in bed, because I love watching you guys get it figured out, right? Like you guys are figure out live stream in real time, and I'm laying in bed with my phone laughing. I'm like, this shit's the same every week, and I love it. Don't ever change that. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's all natural. It's all natural.
It
So I
has
think my
to be
screen is
like
sharing.
authenticity is the new currency, man.
Yeah.
Not to get off track. I hate live streams that are completely fucking scripted and put together because it's just that's not real. You know what I'm
Right, right.
saying? Like it's not dudes
Oh yeah.
talking. The beginning of every live stream, almost every live stream I do, I screw something up, and I don't even give a shit. Like I screwed up. I had Max Sog. I just don't even
Right,
care.
right.
Like, Max, who cares?
Yeah.
Like
No, understood.
I don't. I am not getting paid shit to do this. Here's my policy in life. If I'm not getting paid to do it, I'm just gonna have fun with it.
Right, right, right. Well, that's the thing. Ed and I always talk like, when we do a show that's like kind of like from the seat of our pants, it's easy. It's only when like we have a more targeted one that like it's a little bit more exhausting for us, right? Because we're trying to hit certain things.
Okay, so here we go.
But, we try to balance it. Yeah, so here's the website. It's thehexastack.com. And as I was saying, right now we have I guess technically I have 5 SKUs because we have the white bundle. But right now we have our main package, which is the base builder. That's right now the only way you can get the stands is either through the base builder, black, which is our standard, or the white, which is a limited run. And it's changing over from a limited run to more of a on-demand order where I just don't have a big inventory on it. And in the stands, it's a 5-pack. So you can see you have the max stand in the back. You've got a core stand here, another core stand, and I can make it bigger. Cool. So you have a max stand, you have the core stand, a second core stand, and then you have 2 flex caps at the bottom. One of the things is you get 5 of these universal foot pegs, and they're the type A's. If you need type C or type B, you can add them to the order. They're truly like nearly cost. I've made them extremely inexpensive because to me, it's about providing the customer an experience and a solution and trying to do right by them. So you'll get your package of standard ones because everything's kind of already pre-packaged and bundled. But you can order type C and type B or any additional A's that you may want. And then you'll see that there's the blank caps that I talked about before. It actually originally only came with 5 of those, but based on some feedback from A Punk with Toys, I've actually started including 10 of those in the stands without any additional change to pricing or anything. It's really just made sense to do for the customer because there may be somebody who has pops or has some figure that doesn't need a foot peg. So I want to make sure they have that clean flush lid when they're using it without having like an empty spot on the stand. So it comes with 10 of the little caps, comes with 5 foot pegs, and then it comes with these 5 stands you see here, and you can configure them any which way.
Lawrence give you feedback? I'm shocked.
Yeah, no, Lawrence gives me feedback all the time.
I'm joking. I love Lawrence.
Normally it's where's my shit, Travis. So
I love Lawrence. I love just the way he operates. It's super hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you can see here, there's the white ones, same kind of images.
I think that's a great price.
Yeah.
I think that's priced great, man. I'm telling you.
I'm not trying to get rich off of it. It's a little something to help me continue to build the product line and just continue to reinvest with the long-term goal of trying to get it into injection molding. Like that would be
that's what your final goal kind of is, to get it to an injection molding process.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'd like. Like if there's enough consumer need for it, it's only going to benefit everyone, right? Because then the price point can come down. And, I can move it away from printing and I can focus on some of the other things that Hexastack wants to do. Like, big picture, I'd love to have my own toy company, right? Like, I think all of us plastic nerds would love that, right? And, right now I don't have that ability, but I do have the ability to fill a gap where I really enjoy. So everything I make from Hexastack goes right back into itself. I make no money off this.
That's a great website too. I mean, that just looks nice. Thank you. Congratulations, Travis. That looks really cool, man. I'm really happy for this. This is great, dude. I think it's
awesome.
I think it's wicked dope, man. Cool. I'll probably have to order some of those here in the future. Ed said that'd be great for my office desk display, and he's probably right. It's a mess. It's Ed's heading over to Punk's show. We're gonna run over a little bit tonight because this is gonna be a fun conversation. But I think Hexastack's really cool, dude. I love that journey. It's really awesome.
Thank you.
Do you have any plans, like, for your skins? You've got your wood skin now. You've got your stone skin. What about like any kind of terrains? Maybe like a jungle floor or something like that, or a dirt terrain.
So I have looked in some of those. That all comes down to me just working with the FDM printers and really trying to finalize how to get that texture on there. They've definitely gotten way better. It's going to require some swapping of some nozzles to some more fine nozzles and things like that. But that is definitely stuff based on feedback that'll continue to come. I definitely know I've got the fantasy style ones. I've got some cobblestone ones I'm working on. I've got some military style looking ones, some graded stuff that could be used for that. And then also like a sci-fi, kind of look and feel, robotic type look for the bottom to kind of, fit into that Star Wars or, Cosmic Legion space.
That's dope, man. Okay, so we've talked about Ed taking off. I've known Ed for a long time. Ed and I go way back to the Facebook groups. We've been buddies probably since, I want to say, maybe 2011 or 2012, probably.
Nice.
How did you meet Ed?
Yeah, so that goes back to, and Ed and I were just talking about this recently because it's a thing that's missing. It's why we moved our shows from Tuesdays to Sundays. One of the things that we, Ed and I made the connection right around, it was probably been end of 2022, early 2023, when I really started getting deep into the community because, really I found classifieds, and then I was starting like looking for filler gaps, and that's where I found Valaverse and got the Action Force. I wanted some more figures, and I was fortunate enough to find those through folks like Helidope, and that led me into all the other independent toys. But really, it was the Sunday night show with the Helidope boys where I really started to connect with the community, and specifically, really built a relationship with Ed. And he and I, he was doing some, foam. Before I even had Hexastack, I started kind of like grabbing some He-Man figures, and I was like, oh, I want to do some foam, foam board dio stuff, like build like a little castle entrance and do some action figure photography and stuff. Wasn't quite into taking my toys outside yet. But I was like, oh, Ed does this stuff. So I was asking him questions, and we just started chatting that way. So like the Sunday night hangout, which like I was saying, we were recently talking about, was the Helidope show, is like, where he and I and really so many folks started to connect and build those relationships with one another. And it kind of just went from there. And then it was like, hey, let's stop talking about it and let's be about it and create a show and talk our toys, right? Like do what we were doing in chats and messages and kind of try to do something a little different.
Oh, we got
See? Give me his feedback. Give me his feedback.
I love it.
There are some final changes to some flight stand stuff that I'm working on, and I can't legally send it to you, and I want to send it to you all at once, sir.
I love him.
Because of the partnership that I have created with another creator, I am not able to announce a portion of my upcoming releases, and I want to tie that all together at the appropriate time.
I love Punk. He's like me. We're both we're little scrappy guys. We just
he's
little scrappy. I love him. He's so funny.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping in. But anyways, so you met Ed through all that stuff, and then you guys formed your kind of partnership, and then you started kind of. I don't
remember when we started streaming. I don't even remember.
Oh man, he was doing Live from the Creek, wasn't it, or Tales from the Creek?
Yeah, he was doing the Creek stuff with Luke. Yep,
right. He was doing stuff with Luke, and then he kind of switched over. Like one day, then you guys started your channel, and I was like, it's really cool as a guy who started his YouTube channel from complete scratch. Thanks, buddy.
Oh God!
Well, as a guy who started. He's so funny.
He got the B squad over on his channel tonight. You got the A squad, so like that's why he's.
I love it. Yep.
He wanted me there tonight. I had to turn him down.
Thank you very much. No, but like as watching the evolution of you guys do your thing, it's really fascinating. It's cool, and I'm always happy for you guys. I mean, Ed and I talk a lot, and I love you guys as like how you guys riff off each other when you start your show, and you guys always have a really nice put together topic. You guys, the stuff you guys did last Sunday was really cool with the action figure line stuff. I thought that was really neat. And it's cool to see. It's cool to see people, like I say, authenticity is kind of like the new currency. Like I don't
100%.
watch a lot of stuff anymore. I try to catch a lot of people who I'm friends with. Like I catch you guys on Sundays. I'll jump in on Punks on Mondays. I really enjoy Vern at Toy Rants because Vern's a really cool guy. He's been on my show and he's just a super nice dude, and he has a really fun show to be on. But there's the scripted stuff. I don't know. It's hard for me sometimes because there's a lot of cattiness that goes on too that I'm like, I don't have time for that shit. I got enough problems in my life for that stuff. But
that's Ed and I with our show. It's like, I check in from time to time because you always see the drama start to spark up in different places.
Oh my gosh, no drama. I mean, I just
let them do their things. They have their place, but I always got to remind Ed because I come from that wrestling background, so I'm like, drama sells. Like we could do this, But then I always come back to I'm like, one, I'm building a brand. I don't want to get caught up into that stuff, and two, like I just don't want that stress, man. Like I like too many people, and like all the people that are fighting and stuff, I get along with like most of all of them. So I'm just like, I'm gonna be good with everybody, and like I'm gonna be Switzerland as long as I can be, and just enjoy life, man. Because there's too much real shit you gotta deal with. Why make the fun shit like bad, right? Like
I sit on the outside a lot, and I just want to show up and say, "Hey, man, I know how this is going to end. I'm 50. I'll be 52 here soon, and I have I used to say, like, my life is a wreckage of bad decisions. That luckily each year the bad decisions have gotten less and less and less, and then I've had a pretty good run here lately. But I just don't have any need for that stuff. And that's kind of like what I love about my group of dudes, the Axis of Awesome guys. Is like we're all like the same age, real old, and we're all anywhere from 40, 45 to like 65, and we don't have any need for shit. We're just so old we don't even care anymore. We're all so scarred. A lot of us are Gen X guys. You're obviously not a Gen X guy, but we're all Gen X guys.
But I feel like I am. I feel like I fall closer into that space.
Yeah,
like
and
when I see all those things online, I'm like, that's me. Like
the more you hang out with Gen X people, the more you become like them. But we don't have a lot of need for that drama. But so another thing, a topic I want to get with you is I am a huge wrestling fan too. I am a huge wrestling fan. So we'll start off like probably my journey began in 1980. Probably.
Okay.
I would say 1980 was probably when I first recognized wrestling. I was able to watch it in syndication back then. You had your promotions were split up across the country, right? You would be able to get AWA through ESPN where I lived. You had NWA through TBS, and then you would have WWF would be on TV on Saturday. So when did you start watching wrestling? When did you start? Who was your guy when you first started?
So my guy, I feel like it would have to be Hulk Hogan. Like, say your prayers and eat your vitamins.
Absolutely.
Brother. Like just because like I'm 84.
Yep.
I still I just had to Google it to find out the date, and I didn't realize it. It's like literally my birthday almost. But 87. So I was 3-4 years old at this time. And I remember wanting to watch Saturday night's main event, and my dad was supposed to let me watch it. And like I think my mom watched wrestling, to be honest, like when I was younger, and my dad didn't watch it more in like a passive like level. So when I was little, I'd seen it and whatnot. But like I remember and if I got my dates wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was like the time frame, like Saturday night's main event, the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan, Macho. And it might not have been 87. It might have been later than that.
It would have been probably 85. It would have been probably 86 probably for that one. 86, 87 around then.
whatever it was when Hulk was on the sideline, Macho Man got sent off the ropes and he hit Elizabeth, and Elizabeth fell off the apron, and Hogan picked her up and brought her to the locker room. And I always feel like, I want to say it was the Tongan guy. I can't think of his name right now. And then
Jimmy Snuka?
No, not Snuka. It was
Tonga Kid?
The Barbarian. Maybe like it was Ming or what? It was one of the. It was Ming
well,
or the
yeah,
Barbarian
Ming had a different name early on there.
Yeah. I can't think of the names for whatever reason, but like that's my first time because I missed it.
Yeah,
my dad thought it started at whatever time, and we sat down to watch it, and it had been on an hour earlier for whatever reason, so we missed it. So it might have been a couple years later, and like I'm just thinking, it's sometime in the late '80s. I was around 5 years old, is what I remember, 4 or 5 years old. Yep. And that's the first time I remember wrestling, and from then on, it was like, whenever I could see it on Saturday morning, main event, or Saturday morning, superstars. And, we didn't have cable growing up. So when it was only on cable, I couldn't watch it. So, I'd go to my grandmother's house and spend time with her and stay over at her house. And if I got up early enough, I'd go to church. She made me go to church. I'd get up early, go to church. And if I got church done early, I could get back to the house like 5 minutes down the road, and I could catch Superstars or the later half of it. So like, that was that. And then 93, I still remember the original Monday Night Raw episode and catching that on USA Network at that point.
Yep.
So like, as soon as that started, that was wrestling for me then on, like, with its utmost. And at that point, I was a Shawn Michaels fan. Like, I was, even though he was a bad guy, even though he was like, put Marty Jannetty through through windows and, whatnot, Shawn Michaels was the guy. He was my favorite. So
he was your favorite wrestler. I've got a buddy at work, and he's 7 years older than me, and he never was a wrestling fan growing up, but because through whatever reason he watches Dark Side of the Ring a lot.
Oh yes,
so
yes.
We have a lot of wrestling conversations. I have vivid wrestling memories all the way back to when I was like 6, 7. So I would say my gateway drug to wrestling was easily Hulk Hogan. Right after, I would watch AWA on ESPN in the early 80s. So I would watch. A lot of people don't realize that AWA wrestling used to be on Vern Gagne's wrestling promotion was on ESPN back in the day, and I would watch the Von Erichs. I would watch Baron von Raschke, Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody is one of my favorite all-time wrestlers. Such a tragic story. But when Hulk Hogan, I remember clearly, my mom and dad, we had a buddy of mine, a really good friend of my mom and dad's was a chiropractor here in town. And he lived down the street from us. He was a lot younger than my parents. He was a really cool dude, buff, drove like a Mazda RX-7. It's a total bachelor dude, right? But my dad would go down and help him remodel his chiropractic place. He had an apartment upstairs where he lived, and I'd go hang out because I loved looking at his workout equipment. He's the guy that got me into working out, hands down. And I would go, and I would sit on his couch, and he'd make me snacks while him and my dad were working, and he'd put on wrestling. He's like, "I think you really like this." And I remember the first promo I saw for Hulk Hogan. I'm like, this guy is fucking nuts, right? Like, and it was crazy. And then my dad and I would go see movies on Friday nights together. Sometimes I have 3 older brothers and an older sister, which is quite a bit older than me. Sometimes they would go too, but we went and saw Rocky 3.
Oh, right? Yes.
Thunder Lips, Hulk Hogan, right? Unbelievable. I saw this guy, then I started watching wrestling, and I was hooked. And then obviously I started watching WWF, which is syndicated on Saturday mornings. So I go down to this guy was Stacy Conrad. Stacy he'd leave Paris in the late 80s, and he would go to become one of the the chiropractor for the Indianapolis Colts throughout the 90s.
Okay.
So yeah, him and I are still friends. And I watched Hogan all the time. Saturday night's main event, I want to say 85, when King Kong, 85, I think it was 85 or 86, King Kong Bundy takes out Hogan, breaks the ribs, sets up WrestleMania 2. I cried like a bitch that night. I remember crying, laying on the floor, crying like, "Oh my God, Hulk Hogan's gonna die." And my parents are like, "Oh my God,
Oh
what is up
man.
with this dude?" Dude, I had a satin. Stacy, the chiropractor, bought me satin Hulk Hogan jacket. Dude, I
Oh
had
man.
and I worked at Catholic school one day, and the kids made fun of me, and so I never wore it again. Today, I would wear that. I'd wear that fucking jacket today. So, but yeah, I was a Hogan guy. You know what I didn't appreciate about wrestling? Because I've watched it from all the '80s up until the early '90s, and I obviously graduated
Yeah.
high school, went to college. My life changed. I
Oh yeah.
never appreciated the NWA as much as I do today.
Yeah.
I
There's
never.
so much, and
Oh my
you know,
God.
even the AWA, like you talked about, right? And like USPWA, and I don't know what I think it was USPW or whatever it was. They did that stuff, or USWA is I think was what it was,
Yep.
and they had that stuff, and that was on like ESPN or MSG. It was like random, like you never knew what it was gonna be on. But when I could catch it, I would watch it, right? Like it was like that's just who I was. I was so into wrestling. All my friends knew it. I was just meeting up with a buddy today who I haven't we get together once in a while, but like I knew him when I was like, 12, 13, 14 years old. And he's like, yeah, he knows that wrestling was like everything to me, like I basically shut everything else out except for wrestling when I started training. And when I started training, like I was like 15 years old, and I just like, that was it. Like I watched, I studied it, lived, breathed, tasted. I could only imagine if I had the internet and the access to things I have today to learn and all that stuff, the WWE network and all the extra tapes that are available through the web that I didn't have when I was a kid. Like, I was trying it all. So I didn't appreciate the NWA. I didn't appreciate the AWA the way I wish I could have. It's a different time. And I'll be honest, I respect that stuff.
Oh.
But like when the network came out and they started adding all that stuff, I didn't go back and watch a lot of it. I'd go back and watch Monday Night Raw from the first one where the Undertaker main evented it, on Monday Night Raw, like back in '93. And like I start from there and then went all the way up. So
yeah. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. We, drinking around a fire, smoking cigars. A lot of my friends don't like wrestling. I love wrestling. Wrestling, like it's just a fascinating, awesome genre for me. Like the NWA, the AWA, and the WWF all competing. WWF was so far and above better than all those because he had Hogan. Hogan was such a massive draw. But the personalities that were back then. And you can agree with me or disagree with me. I don't think you'll ever see that again because you saw that for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always say, like, it's so wild because all those guys, like today, it seems like now it's all it's curated, right? You've got all the different. It's almost like actors in a way now because they bring them in, they train them, they put them through all these different things in schools and make them into what they are. Even back then they had schools, right? Everybody had a school. You had the school up in Minnesota. You had one somewhere, the Funks. I think they had, I don't know if they had a school, but the Von Erichs had a school, Fritz did. And then I think the Gagne's. But the thing with all those people back then is they were so flawed. It's almost like rock stars in a way. Like I always say, you always, and this is terrible, but I would rather see my favorite bands, somebody die in the favorite band and never get back together ever again, rather than get old and get bad. You know what I'm saying? All those wrestlers.
You want to see them at their peak. You don't want to see them on the ride down. You enjoy them on the ride up and when they're on the top, but that ride down can be very, very rough.
All those guys in the 80s have such tragic stories, like all of them. And it's just like, it breaks your heart, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, fucking those guys all went out on their swords, man. They were just like drug addiction, alcoholism, steroid abuse, suicides, sadly, but just like they were all beautifully flawed individuals. And I just think that time period from like the late 70s up until the early 90s is like the golden age of wrestling. And I know the Attitude Era, a lot of people are like, oh, the Attitude Era, yes, that was great too. But damn, man, you had some guys in the 80s that were just like the promos and the shit that those guys would do, like Dusty Rhodes. How many guys today in modern wrestling do you see as a physique like that can carry a fucking crowd like Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, there's not many. You got Kevin Owens out there who was doing it until he got injured recently last year or
Yeah.
so. And he's a heavier set guy, doesn't fit the prototype of Vince McMahon from the 80s through, the
Muscle
2015.
pigs.
But
You wanted muscle pigs.
Exactly. Like the smaller versions of Hogan. And I mean, you saw some smaller guys, the Rey Mysterios, the Shawn Michaels, Bret Harts and stuff, but they were still big dudes. Like they were still thick, muscular guys and not out of shape. So yeah, and I mean, they've got different characters now, that are out there. I don't know that I think I'm such a fan of wrestling. Like even today, a lot of people are bagging on where they are now. And I'm like, I enjoy when the wrestling is there. Like right now, the only thing I have with the modern product is that, TKO doesn't know how to run a wrestling promotion. They know how to run a UFC promotion. They're trying to milk every dollar they can out of it, where Vince, ignoring all of his flaws, because that's a whole different conversation.
That's what makes him who he is, though.
Right, but focusing on just like what he did for the wrestling business as a whole, he was smart enough to recognize that the wrestling industry has people go into it. They get into it when they're young. They fall out of it for a period of time, most often when they're in that teens to young adults. And then they might get pulled back in when their kid is old enough to enjoy it for a little bit of time as a family adventure. And TKO is not doing that. They're not allowing for that because they're pricing the family out, which they're really killing off the future generations of fans, which if that's what they want to do, so be it. They're going to find out real quick it doesn't work that way. That said, I'm a fan of wrestling as a whole. Like I love the stuff from I'm not somebody that I think is blind to the fact that, oh, the Attitude Era was so big. It was because that was a time that you kept the teenagers involved, right? Like normally when those kids would be like, oh, it's fake and it's not real, and let me start watching Monday Night Football instead of Monday Night Raw. Like they shifted over. They didn't need to see the superheroes on TV. They'd rather watch the catches and talk about the real sports. So like Attitude Era was able to capture and keep them involved because of all of that with the NWO. Absolutely. So that was like a unique time frame where that didn't break that. And maybe I was lucky enough to be that teenager during that time.
You absolutely were.
Wrestling so much. I don't know that I would have, even if it was still the donkey wrestling where you had the Minotaur and the Dr. Isaac Yankem and, the cheesy characters, I probably still would have loved it because I loved it all the way through. I never stopped enjoying it. There were a period of time where life was just too busy and I didn't get to enjoy it the same way I did. But as soon as my oldest was old enough to really start watching it, I have not stopped. And this Saturday night after the toy show that I'm doing on Saturday, it's Saturday night, we'll be watching the, Backlash pay-per-view at the house and, enjoying it. And I just love wrestling so much that I don't care the point in time. If you put me in front of an episode of WrestleMania any year, I could just enjoy it and I'll enjoy some aspect of it.
It's funny because
all the way back.
I have not all. I was an LJN wrestling guy. I know people shit on the LJN figures. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
They made a comeback.
Those things were indestructible and they were so fun. We'll talk about that here in a second.
Great chew toys.
I mean, those things are just awesome.
They were the Kong before the Kong.
I have a few of mine left. I have my Hulk Hogan, and I have my Macho Man Randy Savage and my Roddy Piper and my King Kong Bundy. My son, he's 7, loves Macho Man Randy Savage. Like he loves Macho Man Randy Savage. Like, and it's weird because like I always like to see like how kids gravitate towards certain personalities. It's just the Macho Man personality is something he really likes, and I laugh my ass off when I see it because he has my Macho Man figure, and it's really funny. Like the other night we were watching, Netflix has all the old WrestleManias on there now. You can go back and watch them all, and you can watch them all. Like this is wild. Like we watched WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3. And it was like, I was just like, Jesus, I'm in a time machine right now. And it's so funny. It's a time capsule because it brought me back to what I was doing in those years. It was great. Because
have them watch WrestleMania 10, man. Have them watch WrestleMania 10. You get Randy Savage versus Crush. Like Macho, I think that might have been Macho's one of Macho's last matches.
It's so wild.
In the WWE.
And it's just it's wrestling is, I think I mean, obviously they have wrestling all over the world. New Japan Pro Wrestling's wild back in the 70s and early 80s. I mean, like when you see some of the guys from New Japan Pro Wrestling who actually fought in Pride, have you ever watched that shit?
Oh, yeah.
whoa. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
these guys, but it's such an, to me, like wrestling is such an American thing. You know, it's just,
But
it's
it's a universal
beautiful.
language.
Did you watch the Hulk Hogan documentary?
I did. I actually on the train I had to take a train into New York City last week. So on the way down, I watched it, and then on the way back, I watched the rest of
What'd
it.
you think?
It was a great documentary. It definitely covered some things up, right? Like, but it
Obviously,
gave perspective into certain things. And I mean, I think I knew all of the things that were on there. I don't think there was anything that was really surprising, except for the brother situation. Like, I didn't. Did you watch it?
I did. I watched all of it. I did.
Yeah. So
Watched
like,
all of it.
I didn't know
did not
about
know
it.
about the brother thing.
Yeah, I didn't know
That was
that. That was
wild.
kind of off the grid, but you know, it just, I mean, a lot of it made sense. And like by the end of it, like, and I think a lot of people at this point in 2026 look at Hogan and they look at him and Terry Bolla the same person. I have always been able to see wrestling for what it is.
Me too.
They're characters. It's, to me, they're no different than Wolverine. And I wouldn't want Wolverine, the character, to be canceled because the human that acted as him did something they shouldn't have or said something they shouldn't have. I understand it's a little hard, right? Like to separate that for some people, and I totally understand that, right? You know, to each their own. But you know, by the end of it, I actually had some empathy for Terry Bolla, who was always just trying to be loved and appreciated and larger than life.
Yeah.
And then hearing what he went through with his wife and all of that stuff, you know, and knowing that, you know, even at the end of it, it sounded like he still loved her and everything. It was a great documentary. You know, I hate that it closed with the, hey, by the way, he died like 6 months later, 3 months later.
That might have been the best ending though, because you left it on a cliffhanger in a way, right?
Yeah.
I told my wife as I was watching the end of the last episode, I said, this is a perfect example of how you will live long enough to see your heroes become villains. You will.
That's perfect.
You will always live. And the thing about it is, this is what pisses me off the most about people who shit on Hulk Hogan. People who are like, see the comments all the time, like, I hate Hulk Hogan. He never put anybody over. I'm like, here's the deal. First of all, if you don't, it's, to me personally, if you don't know anybody personally, then you shouldn't say you hate him, because that's dumb to say like, hey, I hate this person. You don't know them personally. You don't know their thoughts in their head. You don't know their personal life. You don't know shit. You shouldn't say you hate them. You can dislike them. You can not agree with them, but hate's a strong word. The thing about Hulk Hogan is, like you said, you've got to separate a lot of shit. There's a lot of athletes, like Michael Jordan, for example, right? We all love Michael Jordan, but I guarantee you that guy's got some skeletons in his closet and done some terrible fucking things. Absolutely. When you reach a certain level of fame, I think you break. Your mind breaks. Like they said, you become the character. Like, you know, Ric Flair has become Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan became Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And all these guys, I don't hate them for what they became. They're a victim of success, and there's nothing wrong with that. As far as the steroids thing goes, with everybody's like, oh, he was a liar. If you didn't fucking know that Hulk Hogan was doing steroids, that's on you. I mean, you reach a point in life where you know, like, all the football players in the 1980s, all your NFL heroes, guess what? On steroids of some kind.
Oh, yeah.
So let's not pretend like all these guys are saints, you know. But
to kind of look at it like this, right? Like, the steroids that he was doing, he wasn't doing something in like trying to hit a football, hit a baseball out of a stadium, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's no different than all of the actors that have done it for years when they bulk up and get themselves in situations, right?
Chris Hemsworth is not natty. I'm sorry, guys. Chris Hemsworth is not doing a Men's Health diet.
The Rock?
Not natty. Not natty.
The Rock, come on. I mean, ignoring his wrestling history, not even just talking about his wrestling history look, but his movies and stuff, and like, you know, I mean,
natty.
I don't know that he's not. It doesn't look natural to me. I mean, does he work hard to get where he is? Absolutely. But
sure.
Is he hurting anyone? Is he? I mean, I guess you could argue that because they're competing with each other to get the main spot. The ones that are willing to sacrifice and put themselves through that have a better shot. But I mean, they're superheroes, man. They were all just taking the super serum. They were all just taking Stan Lee's super serum. So that's what it was.
It's so silly. But Hulk Hogan, to me, I'm like you. Hulk Hogan, like there's you don't have Hulk Hogan's like you don't have wrestling today if you don't have Hulk Hogan. You know, like
I mean, I think you have it. I think it's different. I mean,
it wouldn't be what it is. It wouldn't have elevated to the point of like if WrestleMania 1 and 2 was just astronomical.
Right place, right time. Right place, right time. Right situation, right? Like it was Stone Cold Steve Austin in the late 90s, right? Like, you know, Stone Cold and The Rock together in the late 90s, right? Like they made it, and you know, throw in the Generation X stuff, and it's you know, Hogan turning heel for the NWO in the 90s, right? Like all of that, right place, right time.
It's like I tell everybody about like pro football. So everybody asks me like, who do you think I don't do fantasy football because I think it's dumb as shit, but I love football. I love pro football, and even in the current state. Everybody's like, who do you think the greatest pro football player of all time is? And I say it's Red Grange. Like, what? Red Grange? I'm like, yeah. I said in 1925, when Red Grange turned pro and George Halas signed him to the Chicago Bears, he went to the NFL was failing then. He went to every stadium, and every stadium he played in, regardless if he was playing the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Giants, they sold that stadium. He sold that stadium out the Polo Grounds for 100,000 people in 1925. If he doesn't sell out those stadiums, those organizations fold. You don't have the NFL today. You just don't. You might have something else, but you don't have that. When people think of greatness to me, they think of, oh, this is stats. I'm like, no, greatness is, do you elevate the sport beyond the normal fans? And people like Hogan and Red Grange and other guys, like, you know, we could say Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, those guys elevate their sports to a point where everybody worldwide knows who those people are.
Absolutely. Well, like Action Joe Fig says it, and similar to what you're saying about the NFL, right? The WWE doesn't necessarily become what it is or survive in the capacity. It's a different path, right? There's a fork in the road. There's the Hogan way, which led us to WrestleMania the way it did, and the body slam heard around the world that, you know, Punk got to watch in person in the whatever dome.
Of course he did. Why wouldn't he have? Yeah.
While he was holding his USS flag over his shoulder, and you know, all that stuff. Exactly. Yeah. But like, you know, that doesn't happen, you know, the way it happened. But I think that WWE would have found a way, or wrestling would have survived. It would have just evolved differently, maybe slower. Maybe we don't get the Attitude Era the way we did. But everything happens in some form, in some other universe. In some other universe, Hogan never became, you know, Hulk Hogan for the WWE, and Andre, you know, finished his run up, and Jake the Snake took over, you know, in some universe there, right? Like, you know, so it's just, he was in the right place, the right time. He's what that business needed to fit into the rockin' 80s and rock and wrestling connection, and all of that stuff was there. It just all worked. And, you know, it brought us to where, you know, to where it is today. And I mean, you just think about what it is today. They have what I would believe to be one of the best, most, you know, qualified, you know, development programs in any professional sports. And I mean, you know, they're on par with it, with what they have going on. You know, they're on like pro wrestling is on TV every day if you want to consume it in some capacity through one varying promotion or the other. And I mean, are we after the peak of it? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's to come over the next 5-10 years. It can definitely, everything is, right. It's all cynical. It all kind of goes in that waves, and
it's a curve.
Approach. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. And I mean, I love wrestling. I'll be there till my last kick out. I will be watching wrestling.
Do you still collect wrestling figures?
Oh, absolutely. It's probably my biggest collection. Like on the other side of the wall here, I have arena we have like 4. Actually, I have 3 elite rings. I had 4. My oldest son started collecting Ultimates this past year, and he actually, in his house, he stole one of the rings from me. Well, he asked. He's like, "Dad, can I take one of these rings for my house?" I was like, "Yeah, go for it, dude. I've got so many of them over here." But I would say I probably have 1,000. I don't know if it's 1,000, but all my figures that aren't displayed right now because I've been shuffling things around. The only things I have up over that way to display is wrestling, WWE Ultimates, and I've got, like I said, I've got the rings, and that's the largest collection I have. Probably have.
Do you collect vintage wrestling stuff at all?
So that's a question, and I've heard. Let's go deeper, right? It doesn't have to be wrestling. Do you collect vintage? Is a better statement.
Yeah.
I don't.
Great. Yeah.
I don't collect anything vintage, right?
Really?
I just never have. I got rid of stuff, and I think I love the modern articulation, and I like, for a long time I was like, oh, everything's got to fit in the same scale. And when Mattel came out, that's really what got me really back into wrestling, and not wrestling, but into action figure collecting. Like, we did some Jack stuff, but I didn't like how like Rey Mysterio was as big as the Big Show almost, and like I didn't care for that. I needed the realism piece to it. Like, they needed to be in scale. So when Mattel came out with their really 1/12 scale figures where everything was varying, I went heavy into that, and that's what the biggest collection I have collectively. And it doesn't hurt that we used to celebrate WrestleMania Day at my house like it was another Easter, with baskets of figures for the kids, the boys, and we had WrestleMania Day, so it was a big extra time. I got to buy more figs and whatnot. So we've done a lot of those and had a lot of those over the years. So
did you have the Hasbro little wrestlers?
So I
Wrestling Superstars?
I did not have any LJNs. I did have the Hasbro, some of them. I had a couple of them, like with like the waist spin that could like slam an arm and stuff.
The gimmicks. They had the gimmicks. Yeah.
Yeah. I had that. And then I also had, I also had the bone crushing superstar, WWE superstars from the mid 90s.
Okay, I remember those. Yeah.
Ones. So I had some of those, but what it came down to is I was cheap. I didn't have a lot of money. KB Toys had them, but let's just say they were like $8 a pop. They always had like a 3 for $6 or 3 for $7.99 Marvel figures. So I was like, I'll just get the Marvel figures and pretend they're wrestlers.
Oh, and that's what I love that. Cool.
So like that's what I did, because I could get 3 guys for the price of 1. So and back then those WWE figures, the bone crunching ones, the arms broke if you try to do. And I was always trying to put figure 4s on.
They were not great.
I was always they didn't have articulation like you would want them to, so I couldn't do the moves. But they had enough rubber softness to them that like the stupid young child in me thought, oh, I can do a figure 4 with these guys, and then pop the leg out of the socket. And
that's why I love the LJN guys. The LJN guys were unbreakable. You could have so much
fun
with them.
Like I said it before, you do you have a dog, or you have a
no
boys? Okay, so there's the brand Kong, Kong. It's like, next time you're in like a Walmart or a store and you happen to walk past the animal section, go grab one of the Kong rubber bones. They are like an LJN.
It's like that.
LJN figure. It's the original LJN figure. It's like this rock solid plastic rubber.
Did you play with your bros, like when you're with your wrestling figures? Did you guys get together and have matches and stuff?
So like I have a younger brother who's like 3.5 years. I have never grown beyond, and even to this day, I've never grown beyond parallel play. So as a father, if you understand that, it's actually funny because I've said that before, but I was watching The Big Bang Theory the other day, and they actually mentioned that Sheldon's like, I didn't go to kindergarten. I never learned how to get beyond parallel play. And I'm like, I've said that forever, because even with my boys, like, hey, you pick your guys, I'll pick mine. There's a reason we have 4 wrestling rings, because we can't play together. I need to have my own, because I need to do my own thing and tell my own story. So no, there was never really any like playing with, my action figures with my friends, because by the time I would have things around my friends, I would have like just parallel play. There was no peer playing. At that point, if I was hanging out with friends, we were going out in the front yard and we were wrestling each other. So
you guys were wrestling each other. Yeah. It's funny. Like, I had 2 boys that lived across the street from me growing up, and we watched wrestling together. They're like, one's 2 years younger than me, the other one's 4 years younger than me. We all had the LJN guys. Between the 3 of us, we had all of them. We had the ring, we had the steel cage, and we get together when school got out for the summer. we would get together that morning. We'd all have a bowl of cereal. We'd get together. I'd go over to their house. I'd bring all my wrestlers, and my dad had a file box, so I'd carry that heavy ass file box over there. And we devised a game. So we had our wrestling ring set up, and we had a dice system. 12, you roll, and each roll was a move, right? So you would have all the great moves, and then we'd split our wrestlers out, and we'd play that for 3 hours.
That's awesome.
And we would just play together, and we loved it. And we'd do the announcing. We had food coloring for blood matches. We had it all. Like, I wish I could get these two boys on. I should get them on here sometime to talk about wrestling. But and I had a whole, back in the 80s, I don't know, there's a lot of guys in here can speak to this, 70s and 80s. You know, my town block was just full of kids. We had kids all the same age. We all played together. We played G.I. Joe. We played superheroes, wrestling. It didn't matter. But I loved playing wrestling. It was so fucking cool, man. And I play a lot of stuff with my son, too. My son and I get together, and he'll be like, hey, Dad, he'll see all my figures. He's like, you choose your team, and I got my team, and let's fight. You know, we'll battle, and we battle and stuff. And, of course, he always wins.
Don't let him win, man. Teach him that he's got to fight for it.
We do sometimes. But, like, I love toys. I love the vintage stuff. I've been collecting a lot of vintage lately because the reason I get vintage is I'm not sure. I know a lot of the stuff that I'm buying is going to hold its value and hold up over time, even though it's going to deteriorate over time. I don't know, and I'll ask you this because me and Ed have talked about this a lot. Do you think the stuff they're making now is going to hold up in value like the stuff when I was a kid or you were a kid?
I don't. So
it's hard, right? It's a hard question.
I don't think it will. And the reason I say that is it's made in such more quantities, and people it's like comics and it's like the baseball cards in the 90s. Like, everybody thinks there might be some value in it, so everybody's grabbing onto it. It'll be there. And I think there's a lot. I think maybe it does though. I don't know. Like, I feel like there'll be value, but I don't think there'll be such large value in it because of the fact that so many people are keeping it. It's like, you know, we can all talk about a time where it's like, oh yeah, my mom threw that stuff in a garage sale and it disappeared. And like, that's what helped increase the value of a lot of this stuff, right? Is we either A, didn't treat it right and we broke it all, or B, our parents were like, oh, this ain't worth crap. And like, they had garage saled it. Well, there's a lot more known about some of the value of those items. And because of that misbelief that things are going to be worth so much more, everybody, you know, holds on to it for a little bit longer, or collectors go and consume those and then try to hold on to it to resell later. I don't know that, you know, it'll have that value. So I've never personally collected anything outside of comic books as a, you know, I never collected anything as a long-term investment, but I've never collected anything with the intention I wanted to maintain its quality for any other reason than my own personal joy, with the exception of the comic books, because I do have a massive collection of comic books that I kind of inherited through my father. So like, my father was born in the 60s, so I have a ton of stuff from the 60s and 70s.
You dog.
Oh, I've got so much, dude. I have grails, dude. Like they weren't maintained. They're personal grails, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not. I mean, somebody would pay something for them. I've done quotes on how much the thing's worth. It's probably somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000.
That's awesome
in comics. But like, I took them on in the 90s, and I started bagging them, and I started maintaining them. You know, so like, they've been cardboarded and bagged. So that stuff has some value to it, I'm sure, but it's all mine, which I plan to hand down to my oldest son, or, you know, my sons if they want it. Just to say, and it's more of a, don't ever get rid of this. This should be. It's not about the money. It's about the memory, and it's about the history. So
it's about the mystique, you know.
Yeah.
I did. I was going to answer Terrence. I did play Dungeons and Dragons and WWF. So, I'm a big D&D guy, so
we'll have to talk offline because I want to share some stuff with you that there's some things going around my head around what you had mentioned, which is just so funny. But like, there's some ideas there because like, I've always wanted something like that. So
yeah, you know, the funny thing is, I have a 7-year-old, and I hope he plays Dungeons and Dragons because I'm going to be a dungeon master.
That would be
down here being dungeon master, and I got a bar with a giant table, big long table I built, Viking long table, and but I don't know.
That'd be great.
They might not want me. You know, I'm a stiff drink sometimes for kids. So back to toys and stuff. So since you're
I
making
think
the Hexastack,
you asked me real quick. Sorry, you asked me about vintage though, and I want to
yeah,
two things. So I don't collect vintage. My most vintage figures that have gone back and collected that were like older were Animal Warriors: The Kingdom, the original like 3/4 inch ones that they created, like the
geez, when was
smaller ones.
that? I didn't know they had an
Like
original line.
2019, like
Wow, that's
2019.
a long time ago, actually.
Right. So like that's the most vintage purchase I've made. I do have tough stuff that's older because I've collected the wrestling and the Marvel Legends, and we still have some of the like Toy Biz Marvel Legends from when my son was like 3-4 years old that my brother would buy him for birthdays and stuff. So we still have some of that stuff floating around. But like, so we have older stuff, but have to have gone back and purchased something to be like a vintage collector. There is one IP that when I get my ducks in a row that I do think I will purchase vintage, and it's the Pirates of the Darkwater. And I guess
it's a great cartoon, by the way.
It's the Pirates of the Darkwater and the Toxic Crusaders from the 90s. Those are two lines that I would likely go back and like vintage collect just for inbox, kind of like I'd get it in the plastic shells and stuff to store it and keep it. Unless somebody gets a hold of those IPs and can create modern versions of those, in which case I would ditch the old stuff and jump to the modern.
That's funny because you're the same age as my oldest nephew. So my sister, I have a sister who's in her 60s, and you're his age. And I remember he was like a little brother to me when growing up because and you know, I remember all the toys he played with because I was still collecting toys when he was a little kid. So all those toy lines you're talking about, I remember all those. He had a lot of those toy lines, and I just, you know, he inherited all my toys. Like
so he has the best of it all.
Yeah, I have a cousin who is 41, and I have a nephew who's going to be 42 soon, and they all, between the two of them, my cousin inherited all my wrestlers, and my nephew inherited all my Dungeons and Dragons figures, my superpowers, my Secret Wars, my Silverhawks, all that stuff. And I love vintage toys because it just, Travis, it's a time capsule for me to back to in my opinion, a simpler, better time in my mind. It brings me back to when I was a kid and how fun it was to just, you didn't know anything, you didn't know what's going on in the world, and you're playing with your toys in your yard, and you were just loving the fact that you had toys. And it's kind of weird. It's like chasing the white rabbit now because I love characters, so I'll buy characters. Like I love Wolverine. Wolverine's one of my favorite characters, so I'll get Wolverine figures in different scales and love them. I love Ric Flair as a wrestler, so I'll buy different Ric Flair figures, like the WWE, like the Masters of the Universe Origins style figure for those. Those are great. They remind me of the old AWA Remco figures.
Yeah. That's what they are.
Zombie Sailor Toys makes. I don't know if you're familiar with some of those indie toys, the big rubber guys. Like, I would love to.
Matt Cardona.
I'd love to buy all those, but I don't because I have to pick and choose what I'm buying because I'm buying for a kid now. Right. So,
oh, dude, trust me, I know.
I know you know. Yeah, you got older kids now, so it's great. But you know, man, it's so fun. The toy industry now. The reason I asked you that is I'm fascinated right now by the toy industry because there's so much out there now, and with the price of tariffs, the crisis with oil, and all the shit going on. I'll ask you this, like I always ask Ed, I'm like, man, I feel like there's just it. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable to have all these different brands trying to make bigger and bigger stuff with the price increases. Like this guy here was $55, which I paid $55 for that, like altogether.
That's a great figure.
It is a great figure, and I hope they make more. But it's just like, where's the breaking point going to be for a lot of people? And like, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out in real time. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's great. Do you mind if I plug something real quick?
No, go ahead, dude.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on something which I think ties into the topic that Ed and I are going to be talking about on the show next time. So it's going to be on the 15th, Sunday night over on the Toyleet Network. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about completism and collecting. And I think a large part of it goes into what you're talking about right now, not just the FOMO aspect though, right? Like there's so much, and like when I really started to dig into the independent lines, I was grabbing everything from everyone. I was like, oh, gotta get every wave, the complete wave, and like it was okay before I got into independent toys because all I had to do was grab the WWE the figures, and at the time I only collected the elites, and my son just collected the Marvel Legends, and my other son just kind of picked some Star Wars here and there and some Power Ranger guys. So it wasn't bad, right? Like one, we just had to do the waves of Legends, and I never did the multiple WWE guys. What I always did was get whatever one I love. And if they come out with one that I love more, I sell the old one and go on to the newer one, right? Like so, Shawn Michaels if Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 26, WrestleMania 12, wins the championship, uniform gear came out, I would buy that one, and that would be my Grail, and I would never get a different one. There's no need for it. So I kind of stuck to that. My youngest son makes it a lot harder because he needs to have every gear and every one, and that's the thing they do. So when I was collecting those, it wasn't so hard. But when I got into Valiverse, G.I. Joe really changed the game for me because the classifieds, they just started doing so many different repaints, and they were coming out with such, like, I go to Outback. He was like my favorite one that they did.
He's a great character.
So good. They did so good on the classified version. And then they really, like, at that same time when the Action Force was coming out, it really, in my opinion, competition created some chaos, and really like Joe's were like, we're gonna slam you with so many pre-orders that like you can't buy anybody else's stuff.
That's a really good. That's a good take. Yeah,
and I think that's the problem is someone who wants to be completist has to make that decision. Are you going to? Because a lot of people have that mindset. Some don't. Some do. I did with the Joes. I had to be a completist. I was getting everything. I went back. I still have Serpentor and I still have Mindbender. And I went back and got these figures that I wasn't even collecting when they were first coming out. And, I started searching for the different figures that I didn't have access to still at retail. And I got all those and backfilled them for the classified line. But then when they started dropping so many waves a year, it made it harder. So if you have that completist mentality, you're like, oh, I can't get everything, or I got to focus in and get everything here. And then I'm going to have to drop this line, or I'm going to have to drop that line. And I think in real time, like you said, we're going to start to see some of those impacts. And I think we're already seeing some of it. Like, my life situation changed a bit over the last 12 to 18 months as far as like disposable income. But, as a result, I've seen others beyond myself that I'm like shocked that are like close to certain brands. And I'm like, they're moving a lot of their product, and I see them selling a lot of stuff, and like I'm listening to them talk about how they're like, I don't need to be a completist. I'm just going to start to buy what I want. And there are some benefits to buying a Mythic Legions, right? They do their waves, they sell you the whole wave, and if you do the pre-order early enough, it's almost like getting a figure here or there for free. Mm-hmm. So they kind of incentivize that like all-in approach, but it can be costly and it's hard. And then if you're doing Mythics and Savage and the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and then, and I'm just thinking fantasy lines, and then you get any of the side stuff by Zeta Girls or anyone else that's doing the Conan figure, it gets very costly, and you really got to look at where you're going to spend your dollars. And I spend a lot of them with independent toys myself. I see a lot of folks in the areas that I play in that they do the same, but I think people are going to have to start to rein in, and I think that some of these independent toy companies are going to have to really up their game, because they may have kind of owned the space for a while, but there's competitors biting at their ankles. And if they don't up the game in what they're doing from an articulation or a price point or, a deco or something, it's going to hurt them. It's going to make it hard.
I don't know what you think. I think some companies have gotten too crazy with their IPs. Like, throwing those IPs around like dollars at a strip club. Like, it's weird for me to see G.I. Joe from Mezco, Super 7, Hasbro, and you're like, what do I want to collect? Like,
well, Hiya Toys too, right? Don't they do
Hiya Toys? Yeah, I forgot about Hiya Toys. And then 3-0. 3-0 has the 1/6 scale line. And you're seeing that with a lot of these IPs, and it's just like, God, dude, like, I haven't talked to Ed about this, but I wish he was still on here. But we saw this with the 1/6 scale back in the late 90s, early 2000s. The same thing I'm seeing. I told him one day, I think I didn't tell him this. It feels like the 1/6 scale bubble all over again, because we had GI Joe, right? We had 21st Century Toys, and then we got Dragon models, Blue Box Toys, and then we had all these other small boutique companies start popping up. Then you had Hot Toys start popping up and doing 1/6, and then all of a sudden, in like early 2000s, you had a ton of different 1/6 toys, and the price point was crazier. So like, Sideshow came out with, they had the Star Wars IP, and they were like having 80. One wave would be 85 or 89.99. The next wave would be 100. The next thing is 120. The next thing is 250. And then all of a sudden, the 1/6 scale market just fucking collapses. And that's kind of what I'm worried about, like that happening again. And it's just like, there's so many cool figures out there. It's just like, I don't know how these guys afford them all, because they're getting like, this is getting pricey. Like I think we're looking at, did you see the new Sam Fisher Ghost Recon, or I'm sorry, Splinter Cell figure?
Not 80? The Valaverse one. You're talking
not Valaverse. I'm talking about the other one, the CC.
Yep. I saw the picture. I didn't see the price.
$89.99. And I'm telling you this, if people pay for that, and granted, I know Bobby's shit all over it, which is fine. I don't expect him to be like, this is a great figure. But I'm telling people, like, if you're going to pay for that stuff, it's like anything else. They're going to be like, okay, if they're going to pay for it, then this is going to be the new price.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how that's sustainable currently, like right now. I don't know. I just don't know. What do you think?
I think Valaverse is doing a great job. Their prices go down while others go up. I think it's a great move. I think, for the quality product he's delivering, it's not good. It is good quality, right? Like you're getting a good quality. You're not getting a cheap Dollar General knockoff of something. You're getting a quality figure.
Oh, they're great figures. I love the black.
I have tons of them. Oh, they look awesome. I haven't gotten any of them, and I have moved out of the military the military lines just because I really dived into the fantasy lines. I really enjoy the Savage Crucible figures. I love my Animorphs of the Kingdom. I love lore, and that's like the core of what I love, and it probably goes back to the storylines in wrestling or what sells me on characters. So, having storylines on these other characters is what sells me on their lines. But like, I do think, especially in crowded spaces, there's going to be that bubble bursting. I don't know that it's independent toys that are going to be the bubble bursting. I think obviously your mainstream Hasbro, if you're in Walmart, you're in Target, they're going to be okay, because you're going to get the moms and dads that don't know the things that we know and the things that we're dived into. So it's not really going to impact them in the same way. But in the independent toy space, not because of an independent bubble so much as it's a oversaturation of things, right? And in an attempt to diversify what they deliver on, I think some companies are investing in what they believe to probably be hopefully long-term strategy stuff to expand their lines versus what may really help them, grow the way they have been organically. And I'll use Mythic Legions for an example, or Four Horsemen. I think Four Horsemen has done a great job, and they are a huge case study for an independent toy line coming up and growing outside of the mainstream, right? They had the lockdown on the Mythic line and that fantasy space. There wasn't anybody doing it as well and really doing it at all. And I think they've done great. I think they still do great. I think they deliver on things consumers want, the dragons, the bears, all that stuff. I think some of the figures lack some articulation, right? Like if you want articulation, but I think they've improved that too because of some of the competition at their heels. Savage Crucible does a great job with stuff. I think Savage Crucible is doing some interesting stuff once they finish up their Wave 3 Kickstarter release. I think their idea of just 4-figure releases is really consumer friendly to, because people are spending so much money. I think that approach is good. But you're talking like two major players in the fantasy space. You're talking about, one of them, and even, Savage Crucible. They've gone ahead and they've created their Collegiate Legends. They talk about another IP thing coming. And then you've got the Cosmic Legions. You've got, what's the other thing?
From Four Horsemen?
From Horsemen, for Figure Obscura, sorry. They've got their Figure Obscura
I like the Figure Obscura a lot.
And they do a great job on. There's not a bad thing about any of these lines, like at all. Like I really don't. The independent toy guys are doing great. I think they all have their pros and cons, and and even the cons aren't bad. Like I feel like you're still getting a great product from all of them. I think that when you look at things, I think they spread into the space. With Cosmic, I don't know how well that one's doing for them. I think it's one that is going to take a while to build up and get that same mythic, following that they have for that Cabal side.
It's not as cultish as Mythic Legions. Mythic Legions,
it doesn't have the depth yet. I think
the buzz, it got the buzz around it.
Right, exactly.
Mythic Legions is Mythic Legions is a lot like Dungeons and Dragons in a lot of ways. Like
Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings.
It
just touches
so,
on stuff that's so there.
I mean, I shit on their how long it takes to get a figure. I've canceled the pre-orders of figures. I mean, and I don't hate them. I'm just like, I don't want to wait that long for something. That's cool.
Right.
But I admire Four Horsemen for their ability they're like an indie band that like I'm going to go see, they're like Sleep. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Sleep, but they're like Sleep in a lot of ways. You're like, Sleep's going to be playing at so-and-so out in fucking, St. Vitus or whatever in New York or whatever,
Okay.
And everybody's like, oh my God, we got to get that. They're going to have an album with a marijuana leaf baked into the fucking album. You're like, this is so great. That's Mythic Legions. Mythic Legions is a trendy indie band that everybody loves. They're the Grateful Dead. They're like the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
That's what they're like. Like I have not. They're great.
They have a great quality product. They engage with the consumers. I think that they make people feel part of. They have a convention every year that I'll be a part of this year.
Yeah,
is like there to. I mean, like think about it. Yeah, they sell some stuff from Four Horsemen, and they do a lot of stuff there. But it's a convention for the fans. It really is, right? Like they do that for like what ends up being the fans of the product that are selling their own third-party merchandise that goes with it. And like you could do a case study on how to do a toy line based on how well they've done things. And
they've transcended.
I've got nothing bad to say about that.
No, me too. I have nothing. They've wherever they're at. Like they're their own thing. Mythic Legions is like a prog, like I said, they're like a prog rock metal band. They're just they are their own thing. You love if their fans love Mythic Legions. I mean, they fucking love it. They're eating it up like and it's great. And I love that. I think
they do a great job.
10 years from now, there's still going to be Mythic Legions.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be around. There's nothing.
They're going to be.
But those other investments like the Cosmic, the Figure Obscura. Now they've got this King Arthur thing, which I'm so pumped for.
Oh, that looks really cool.
That's so cool. They're doing that.
The Merlin figure looks super dope. I probably won't get it because I love fantasy, sword and sorcery, but I got too much other shit I want to buy. I'm in Japan right now, wanting to buy shit that I love, like Japanese stuff. Just fascinates me right now. I'm a Japanese robot lover and
so mechs.
I fucking hate Transformers though. I don't like Transformers at all.
I hate Transformers. I hate Transformers.
I do not
want to be told by my kids to configure those Transformers ever. That's the one thing I refuse to buy. My youngest finally knows I will not buy any more Transformers.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to move it together and apart and stuff over and over again.
I'm more Voltron.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think like Operation Monster Force and all of the different IPs that Big Bad Toys, they're doing is great stuff. But there's so many that are in that same wheelhouse. It's like. And then the Valverse, and then the Joes, and there's just so much, and they all work together. It's interesting. I think what is needed is niche fills, right? Unique things, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be an original IP, but it needs to be not fantasy and military, right? Like the Pirates line that Tide Realms Corsair is doing right now in Kickstarter, right? They worked with Four Horsemen to sculpt their figures, and they're in the Kickstarter mode. And I don't know where they are, but I know they had broke $100,000 or over.
They broke it. That's cool.
I mean, I don't know what they're at right now, but they're doing good. Like they're moving. The needle is moved very well. I'm gonna look at it right now to see what it is.
Is that the Pirate line?
Yeah, it's the Pirate line. Yep.
And those are cool.
They're at $116,000 right now of their 155. But it's because there's not anybody doing pirates right now in that historical pirate sets, right? Obviously, right. Valaverse has their modern, seafaring pirate type of stuff to it, but it's not that old school approach, right? And that historical Pirates of the Caribbean, look and feel, or Pirates of the Dark Waters space, like it's filling a gap. When you're going to have an issue, I do think we're going to have an issue in some of these spaces where, because you can't buy it all, and I mean, you've got how many people coming out with, what do they call them? NPCs. I think Big Bad's going to do now.
Yeah,
NPCs. They're doing that. Valaverse is
going to do something.
Company's doing it. Right.
Yeah, so I'm sure Hasbro is going to jump on that too.
There's dollars to be made, right?
I'm sure there is. Oh, Hasbro is kind of doing NPCs with their anniversary and legacy figures. I mean, those basically what those are. Those are army.
Oh
builders,
yeah. Like
the green shirts.
Yeah, they do the army builders. I don't know that they would do. I don't know that they would do NPCs like in the sense of like audience or civilians, because like for them, the market on the toy shelf there, it's not there.
No, it's not there.
Especially when we have, unless they could kill the price point of Big Bad and Valaverse and Figure Toy Company, which is, you have to assume has got to be around $20-$30. And unless they're going to kill that price point and make it so much cheaper, I just don't see it happening. Because they wouldn't want to, because they wouldn't want the comparison on the shelf where they've got their generic civilian figure for $15 and they've got their Marvel Legend figure for $30. People wouldn't want that.
No, I think you're going to get that more with the indie toy makers. As we wind this down, let's talk about.
Yeah, sorry, man.
No, you're fine. Let's talk about the big toy companies. So, I've been saying this for a while now. We'll talk about my two favorite toy lines growing up were G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe. Obviously, we've got a Masters of the Universe movie coming out. We'll talk about them first. Are you a Masters of the Universe guy? No. Did you play it as a kid?
I was into it. I was into it in the 80s, but honestly, like, I moved into wrestling and I moved into it quick.
Yeah.
And like that's where I lived and died. And I probably had a closer relationship to Joe because of Sergeant Slaughter.
Absolutely.
Because the wrestling crossover aspect to it. So I like it. I'm super pumped for the Masterverse movie. I'm gonna watch it. I still remember the Dolph Lundgren one from when I was a kid.
That was a good one. I loved it too.
That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Yep.
So I've got the toys if they fit into my Savage World and all of that fantasy, space. So I use some of them. Not so much the, Mossmans and any of that. It's the more basic Barbarians style He-Man.
86 was when I stopped collecting usually, but I loved it even after that. But Mattel, I love the Origins line. I've got almost all of them for my son. He plays them still a little bit sometimes. Mattel fascinates me from the standpoint of all the fucking different scales and lines of Masters of the Universe that they have right now that they keep making. And it's just wild to see.
And they just did the new one.
The new one for the movie, which I don't like the movie figures at all. I don't like the way they look. I see a lot of these paid sites, right? We know that there's. I don't like to use the term shill, but you know what they're doing. This is the most amazing. Yeah, they're repping Mattel, and I'm just like, man, I'm gonna go see the movie. The movie looks great. I don't like the way the new figures. I haven't seen them yet in stores, but Masters of the Universe is wild. How many? I mean, you've got talk about somebody throwing IPs out. They've got a lot of different wild stuff, and it seems to all be doing relatively okay. I don't know how it's selling, but I love it. I hope it continues to be successful for him. I think they've got a pretty good thing with Masters of the Universe. I don't think they're going to try to make a new iteration of it like they did with, when they closed He-Man down and did like the Space He-Man back in the late 80s, which was a failure. Then they brought it back in 2000X, which was okay. Four Horsemen helped him mold all those, and they were great.
Right.
Then you had the Classics line, but it wasn't supported by a cartoon. But I like Masters of the Universe from Mattel. I think Mattel is doing a great job, and their acquisition of DC Comics is probably going to be okay. But I don't know what they're going to do that everybody else hasn't done. What are they going to give us? Are they going to give us Marvel Legends style DC figures? Like maybe that would be nice.
I don't know. I mean, that would be the dream. Like, I'm anti DC. I'm Mr. Marvel, right? Like, that's just been me.
I'm a Marvel guy. Yeah,
I do like some DC stuff, but the McFarlane stuff is definitely not up to snuff for my collecting habits.
Scales off.
So I never got into them. I think it would be cool to have a peer figure for Marvel to the DC, and it's always shocked me that nobody has done that
It's
because I
weird.
feel like you literally have an IP that's built to go head to head, toe to toe. Make them in scale because you're going to get the people that are committed to DC, but you're also going to get the people that are like on the Marvel space that are just like, oh, I could use that guy in this world with these. I could do this. So I know that the He-Man stuff, the Master of the Universe movie figures are a little bit smaller than their traditional,
Yeah.
Masterverse stuff. I don't think they size up exact. I don't think they size up the WWE figures. I think they're a little bit smaller, so I think they might be more in scale with your classified and has your Legends line. Which, if that's the case, then maybe we have our DC version of the Marvel Legends finally, which I know would be awesome, and that would definitely
That'd be great.
collect some money for me. It would definitely collect some money for me in that space.
Yeah.
I expected them to just kind of reuse the pro wrestling molds.
Me too.
And go to like the WWE Ultimate line stuff and really kind of leverage that because it's a little bit bigger than your 6-inch scale, right? It's that 7-inch-ish space with the Ultimates and stuff. And I mean, it does a great job, height variance and stuff through those. I would have expected them to kind of try to leverage that size mold, but they may be shifting to try to fit into more of the traditional 1/12 like official scale.
James wants to know who your favorite Marvel bad guy or anti-hero is.
That'd be Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's a great. That's the greatest storyline in Marvel Comics of the last 40 years, in my opinion.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite character, both as a hero, anti-hero, villain, whatever, because he's go full circle, right? He's the good guy. He goes bad guy. He does the redemption, the redemption story. He's my favorite.
That's a great one. The Winter Soldier storyline by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epstein for Marvel Comics. If you guys haven't read it, it's fantastic. It's great. I love it. I don't know, James, if I have a favorite bad guy. Probably I don't know. I don't even know who my favorite Marvel bad guy is. I've read Marvel Comics since 1982. It's really interesting. I would have to go per book. X-Men, boy. Oh, man. I don't even know who I'd choose in X-Men. I will tell you who I hate more than any. How about this, James? I will tell you who I hate more than any character in Marvel Comics is fucking Iron Man. I hate Iron Man. I hate Tony Stark. I hate everything about him. I hate it. Marvel Civil War broke me. I hate him. He's such a traitorous scumbag, Tony Stark is. You'll never bring me back. That Marvel Civil War storyline when he betrayed all of his friends, Tony Stark can burn in the sun for all I care. You could never make a movie which I like Tony Stark. So there's my so
I would say Sabretooth.
Sabretooth is good. And Omega Red was a great character. Omega Red
right there. Both because of the Wolverine connection.
Wolverine was my jam.
Yep.
So do you still collect G.I. Joe Classified at all?
I haven't bought. I still have a ton of the ones, but when they started exploding up the releases, it's made it very difficult to maintain. And being the completist on that stuff, I really backed out. Yeah. I haven't got anything since. Oh goodness. Oh, you know what? The one with the bulldog.
Oh, Mutton Junkyard.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's the last one I got.
That's a good one. Yep. I only have 2 classified figures. I have Stalker, which is the first G.I. Joe American Hero figure I ever had, and I have Sergeant Slaughter because I love Sergeant Slaughter like you as a kid.
Actually, I have the newest Sergeant Slaughter where he comes with the punching gloves and stuff like that.
Oh, is that the one?
I never opened it.
Okay,
it was gifted to me, but that's my most recent one.
Did you? I pre-ordered the brand new figure Sundown. I call him Cartel G.I. Joe because that's what he looks like. He's a Cartel G.I. Joe.
Which one is it?
Sundown. I think his name's Sundown. He's the bounty hunter. I call him Cartel Joe. I can't wait to get this figure and review him. It's going to be a funny review. But I do like how they tried something new.
Oh, okay.
They brought in a new character. I don't know if it's going to be a hit. I get the chats on their live streams, and I don't know how many of those are bots. There's a lot of fluffing going on. There's a lot of fluffing going on those live streams. I don't know, like with Classified, I just feel like, and I don't know how you feel, Masters of the Universe is Masters of the Universe. You're not going to be, you've always had this Masters of the Universe. G.I. Joe, you've had storylines throughout the years. You've had the 64, which was your basically World War II and the kind of Korean War era soldier. They had Green Berets from Vietnam. Adventure Team was your cool ass adventurer. You could, any guy, the nameless, faceless adventurer, you could do anything with. Real American Hero is your Cold Warrior, coming off of, you know, the early 80s. We had the Grenada, whatever you want to call it, operation. Everybody loved America again, loved the military. G.I. Joe capitalized on it. I don't know. They tried G.I. Joe Extreme, which was a failure.
Extreme.
Super Joe was kind of a failure.
Extreme. Everything in there was Mountain Dew Extreme.
Yeah, I wish. I know. I don't know, and I don't know. As we this will be our last topic we talk about.
Oh yeah, no, you're good.
I don't know if the big toy companies now, and this is probably because they don't want to have the money to invest or what. I don't know if they have the creativity anymore to create a brand new iteration of their classic toy lines and reinvigorate them. Like the indie toy companies. Operation Monster Force is dope as shit. Like,
yeah,
Soldiers of Fortune is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. And all that stuff, from what I can tell, and what Ed shares with me, because I don't collect it, because when I went to buy it in 2024 and buy everything, it would have been like $1,400, being the completest that I am, to get even just what was at availability versus pre-orders. It was crazy. But my understanding is all of that stuff is like centrally the same universe, and there's a connecting point to it all, which I love.
I do too. And I mean, even Valaverse, they have the advantage of they have Action Force, which is an old IP from Action Man, but they're creating a new universe. He's creating a new universe. I don't know if Hasbro, and I try not to shit on the guys because I just don't think there's anything, you don't gain anything from just shitting on people, because I don't know what's going on at Hasbro. I don't know who makes the decisions. I don't know if they've got the creativity right now for G.I. Joe to take it into a new direction, to make it competitive with some of the other lines. I know there's gonna be a lot of people disagree with me, like, what are you talking about? Like, we're just doing Real American Hero over and over again.
I think you're halfway wrong.
Yeah.
In the statement. And I don't mean that offensively or anything.
No, it's fine. No, for sure.
I'm going to challenge the perspective, because I don't think it's that they're not creative.
Yeah.
Because when they first came out with the classified line, it looked nothing like the Joes that we grew up with.
But it didn't do well, right?
That's not because it wasn't creative. That's because we like nostalgia.
Yeah.
We as consumers,
I get it.
We as consumers did not give them a long enough. And I'm not saying what their first rendition of classified was the right thing, but we didn't give them enough runway to trust that what they would come out with would be successful without just regurgitating 1/12 scale versions of what we saw as kids and loved.
Yeah.
And I think it's not even just consumers, but it was also the fact that it's such a large company and they have to report to stockholders, and they weren't seeing what they wanted.
I'll tell you another problem I think they had is the timing. The timing when you released figures and the guns that they released, everybody's like, "Oh, Hasbro's going woke now. They don't release a real looking gun." I saw that a ton in the comments.
Yeah, they looked like Fortnite stuff. And
that was not their fault. That was just like a misinterpretation. What I say about them not being creative is, I don't know. I'm talking about a new version of G.I. Joe. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about creating a new version of G.I. Joe, like something for the 21st
G.I.
century.
Joe 2030, whatever.
G.I. Joe that we don't like we can, like, these are toy companies and they have to be sustainable. Like, collectors, we have money, but you're still a toy company. You're going to have to get kids to buy into it at some point.
Yeah.
And
they don't have the lure for them.
That's what I'm saying. I think the better thing is, do you think they have the creativity to create a new lore? To take the chance. I don't know if they're willing to take the chance. That's because of the shareholders. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I mean.
I think the leash is too short for them to do it. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think I don't think they're risk. I think they're too risk averse
Yeah,
to like
I agree.
attempting to create a cartoon for a YouTube stream, like a
Yeah.
net new creative venture from a whether it be a graphic novel or a cartoon, and it have to be different. It can't be a cartoon on a Saturday morning,
Right.
but there are
Netflix.
tons of people who a Netflix series
Yeah.
or a YouTube series that is on their own YouTube channel, but they're as an organization, I don't think they're risk I don't think they're willing to adjust and accept a cartoon as a loss leader today, which is all it
Yeah,
would be.
okay. That makes
It would
sense.
have to be. It would
Yeah.
have to go in as this is a loss leader that is going to lead to all of this product moving off the pegs with new characters, new colors,
Yeah.
new ideas, with these new stories. And the only way they can do it is to put some to know, hey, we're
Yeah.
going to create a multi-season venture that's going to take some time to get them behind us to do it. I mean, you have Paw Patrol, right? And I know it's a silly thing, but Paw Patrol sells like crazy.
Great example.
So much so that if you go to Facebook Marketplace, everyone's selling the trucks and the buildings and the toys, and you can't make crap off it because everybody buys it.
Yep,
well,
that's a good example.
That's because they were willing to take the loss because they don't make money off the TV show. They make money off of the products that are sold on the shelves for that TV show. And until somebody sitting in that decision-making seat looks at an already existing IP that they own, like G.I. Joe, and says, hey, I'm willing to take a couple shots on the jaw knowing that I'm going to get up at the 9 count and we're going to move a shit ton of product off the shelves, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
I think I think there's someone out there with the creative.
I think so too.
They used to employ someone who's come up with this really kick-ass under the Action Force branding lore with Bone Collector and is it Carrick and all of that stuff. It's a really kick-ass lore. He worked for them, so the creativity's there, and I'm sure somebody else has similar creativity.
It's stifled,
but it stops because the guys that have to sign the check aren't willing to put their name on that line, knowing that I got to write a check that I know is not. It's going to bounce at some point, but it's going to return tenfold when I start moving product on the shelves.
I think that's what the worst part about the toy industry is now, is because it's all corporatized and you don't have a family-owned toy company.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have. And I think one of the biggest problems, in my opinion, with Hasbro anymore is they've got Marvel and Star Wars. And they're just, that's what they do. They do Marvel Legends and Star Wars and G.I. Joe, but I don't see Hasbro do much new stuff. Do you?
No, I mean, it's not from like a toys that like people will get it. If they grab they might grab like a TV show like Jurassic Park or something, movie type thing. But for the most part,
no new creation.
There's no Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. There's no Savage Crucible. There's no Pirates of the Dark Water, and there's no modern,
wild
those things. And like Cowboys, they don't have it. Like, and those are things that people would buy. The kids would get behind. And I mean, I use those examples because those are net new IPs. And I mean, I know Action Force is a brand that was owned before by someone else, but the Action Force that we have today is not the Action Force story that we had before.
Nope.
So yes, there is some lineage. It's in the blood, right? Like it's there, but it's its own thing that
I'm a nostalgia guy because maybe it's just my age group, but I remember when Hasbro was just taking chances with like Visionaries and just wild shit back in the 80s, and maybe they're just gun shy, or maybe it's all of it. Maybe it's the fact that they tried to start a movie studio and were terrible at it. I don't know.
Stay in your lanes, folks.
Yeah,
stay in your lanes.
I just think, I hope. I don't know. I don't know where they're going. I mean, obviously they're going to do as many G.I. Joe figures and milk as many as they can, which I'm fine with it. I as far as G.I. Joe's in the zeitgeist, I'm good with it. I wish they'd do more. I think a lot of people I see, like with the legacy figures, there's a lot of guys in my age who have disposable income now who would buy a lot of their stuff, but we don't, because they don't really cater to us at all.
Yeah.
Like for example, like the vintage head. Just put a vintage style head in with that legacy collection. You probably see a bunch of us buy that figure and flock it and make our own figures.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I bring that up, some fucking idiot, I shouldn't say idiot, some jackass in the comments goes, well, you realize you can go buy a 3D printed one off Etsy. Yeah, I do realize that, but it's not the same as a Hasbro made head, right?
Yeah.
It's like a 3D printed head doesn't look as good as a head you take and mold and cast it. You just don't capture the nuances. I do realize you can go buy those figures, and it just annoys the shit out of me when people are like, well, if you don't like it, just go make your own. Yeah, no shit. That's
would
the
love
point.
to. I would love to.
But I'd love
you know
for
what?
Hasbro to say, hey, we're in the business to make money. So how about we put an extra head in here? So jackasses like me will be like, oh, I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to buy 4 of those because I went 4 different heads. And I've
kind of like what Monster Force is doing, right?
Oh man, Monster Force is great. I bought General Brown the other day. Paid $50 to just get that fucking head. That's what I did. Just no pun intended. Paid $50 to get a head. You know?
Okay, Al.
Just to get that head, because that head is freaking. Why can't Hasbro do that head? I don't understand.
It's insane
it.
It's insane though, and you know, there's just I think the statement that one of the 3, you said that they could just 3D print it, and they told you, well, just go do it yourself. That's fine. People keep echoing that, and that's where Spiro Toys comes from. That's where Rob, Jason from Spiro Toys. That's where Rob Post comes from Savage Crucible. Enough, go do it yourselves, and we're getting some great products. And that's why, honestly, outside of the wrestling toys, because that's different. Like nobody, like if one of those other guys grabbed that IP, I can only imagine how cool it would be if they kept it in scale with all the hundreds of figures I have today. But like I don't think Mattel's doing anything wrong with them. They do great with all that stuff. I have no complaints about the wrestling figures. They really they nail that shit. Like I'm not just like I'm not shilling. I get nothing.
Their wrestling figures look great.
They do great with that stuff. The Bill McKenna, but that's because Bill McKenna is the Bobby Vala of pro wrestling figures. Like Bill McKenna, he's like the designer, and he, every WrestleMania he goes over and he's watching it. And then there's every year he goes over and watches the New Japan show. You can see him. He posts on his Instagram. And he's at the Tokyo Dome. He is a wrestling fan, so he's leading that charge and making sure that if I was sitting in that seat, we're getting what we want, right? Like that's what it is. But there's enough belief in the product, and there's enough being made off of it that it works. But for every failed attempt by like a Hasbro figure that doesn't meet our solution and pack in there, a Rob Post or a Jason, from Spiro Toys or the 4 Horsemen is going to pop up, and as long as they do it in the niche that isn't already oversaturated, I think we'll be fine. I have concerns as we see things kind of congregating in that same space, right? Like it's going to be hard, because I'm telling you right now, I don't know a single person that can afford, even if you're a punk with toys and you get that YouTube money like he gets, I don't think you could afford Monster Force, Action Force, all of the, when I say Monster Force, let's be clear, I'm talking all Big Bad Toy Workshop stuff, like all of that 1/12 military stuff.
Soldiers of Fortune, Agents of Omega, Monster Force.
All of that is one branding quantity, but it's so massive. I don't see how somebody can realistically afford all of that line, all of the Joe line, all of the Action Force line that all fits into it. Someone's legs are going to fall out, and somebody's going to be left holding the bag.
I agree.
Who that is, I don't know.
Well, regardless,
it's not going to be Hasbro.
No, they're going to keep going. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think there's things changing there too. I know they're moving out of Rhode Island to Boston, but I also know they've lost some major people on the Joe line.
They lose that Wizards. They lose that Wizards of the Coast money. They'd be fucked.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't
know. What do you think? Has Lenny been on any stuff lately?
Lenny just moved, right? He's the one that just moved out, right?
I saw he's going to be on some. He's going to be an appearance somewhere.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I just know that I know that he moved out of Hasbro and he's gone on to.
He's going to one of the cons. Maybe he's going to be on the.
Oh, maybe he's going to be at IshCon.
Yeah, maybe. He probably had to sign an NDA though. I guarantee it.
Yeah, he's on an NDA. I'm sure he can't speak of certain things for sure. Absolutely. No reason to burn those bridges either, right? In that industry.
No, you don't. No.
But no. I mean, that's going to leave a lot. In my opinion, he's a fan of wrestling. He's a fan of Joe's, and I feel like him not being there, there's going to be a piece lost, and maybe somebody else will fill those shoes. Somebody probably will, but
it'll be interesting
who that is, and I mean, does it impact the classified line? I mean, the Power Rangers Lightning line is still not dead officially yet either, right? So
They're still doing Power Rangers.
no, I mean it's not. As last I saw, they never declared the line dead. They just put it on hiatus, which is an indefinite hiatus, and
they ought to sell the
new
IP
stuff in 3 years.
They ought to sell the IP to Dungeons and Dragons to one of these indie toy companies.
I mean, if Savage or Mythics got ahead of it, like
whatever happened to NECA doing?
They were doing some stuff, right?
They did almost all the LGN stuff, but they didn't get the rest of the line. I want to see Northlord, Melf, but anyways, it's a great time to be a toy collector. These are all first world problems. It's awesome, and it's always fun to bitch about stuff. We're living the best time ever, though, to be a toy collector, because all the scales are the same. You can have your Silverhawks with your Thundercats and your Thundercats with your He-Mans, and I love it. And I'm as far as to me, I just want kids to play with toys and get off their tablets. It's hard to do, and everybody needs to remember, in my opinion, that toys are for kids. We're just big kids. Get outside, play with your toys, and have as much fun as you can. Your life's short. The world's not perfect, but it's a good time to be alive.
100%.
Hey, this has been a great conversation, bro. I love it.
Yeah, dude, I've had a blast.
As we wrap this up, tell everybody where they can find you at. Tell us about Hexastack and everything.
Yep. So I'll start with me. You can find me at the Mr. Wonderful on Instagram. Probably the best way to get a hold of me. I'm over on the Toyleet Network on YouTube with Axion Figs every other Sunday. And then my Hexastack modular display system, which is your curation solution for your toys, and it will keep your spouses happy too. Those can be found over at thehexastack.com, and you can find us over at the Hexastack on Instagram also. And
awesome.
We are shipping orders now, and got a lot of really cool, innovative things coming. So stuff that I wish I could speak to right now, because like between you and I and this circle here that's listening and those that catch you later, like today I woke up and I watched some videos before I went to bed on some trouble I was having with some new things that I'm working on, and like I literally was like, woke up and was like, holy shit, I figured it out. Like this is it, and then this, and then this, and like I'm rocking. So there's some really cool stuff coming. And as Terrence said in the chat, Hexastacks will be available at IshCon May 29th through the 31st in Durham, North Carolina, at the Realm of the Creative Realm booth. So check that out. And awesome. Thank you, Terrence, for the support there. And I won't be there physically. I will be there emotionally, and my stands will be there. You can get those from those guys.
Well, Travis, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I'm super happy for your success with Hexastack. I wish many success for you in the future on it. Can't wait to see what you do with it. And I look forward to seeing all you and Ed's conversations. Hopefully one of these days I'll be able to come on there and shoot the shit with you guys. And,
we're gonna get you on here. It's almost Joe time. We got to get you on for the Joe Fest.
I hope Cartel Joe comes out by then, because I'm really excited to review the Sundown figure. I have a funny ass review for that.
We're going to be doing that in June, like we always do. We're going to get you guys together for some GI Joe trivia. Talk about the real military character who was GI Joe and served in the military or didn't, and we're going to do that again for the third year. So we'll definitely get you on this, Joe.
Ed wanted me to have you prepare some trivia for tonight, but I said now we'll pass.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that to someone else this
year. All right, Travis, brother, hang around backstage. I'll wrap this up, man. This has been great. Let's do it again, dude. Later, brother. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. This is great conversation. Travis is a very awesome, creative person. Definitely check him out on the Toyleet Network on Sundays, and buy some Hexastack. I'm probably gonna have to grab some myself here sometime this month. So I hope you guys are all doing great out there. My next guest will be Mr. Cos Becerra. He's going to come on here and hopefully talk about a lot of his 3D printing skills. They're awesome. He sent me some new pictures of some stuff, so I'll be here in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, guys, I hope you're all doing great out there. Remember, PSYOP season takes no days off. Stop watching the news. Enjoy your lives. Hang out with your families, and get healthy. And in the meantime, keep living the adventure and Cheers.